All right, we're going live here with some breaking news. We do have a tornado warning that was just issued moments ago north of Kansas City. This is a pretty strong pocket of rotation that is currently developing near Smithville, Kearney, Missouri, and Holt, Missouri. Those are the three locations included. It's about a population of 52,000 people. As of right now, this storm is moving northeast pretty fast as well. This entire area of storms that's moving through Kansas City is producing damaging winds, but we do have now a new tornado warning that is currently ongoing again for Smithville, Kearney, and as well as Holton, Missouri. This is radar indicated rotation, so it is not a confirmed tornado as of right now, but there is definitely a chance here that we get a tornado. We have some very strong rotation right now located near Smithville. This is right now moving northeast, and it's going to be approaching Lathrop over the next several minutes near Kearney and Interstate 35. If you are included in this tornado warning, you need to be seeking shelter immediately, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible interior room of your home or building. That is a bathroom, a closet, a storm shelter, or a basement. Again, this includes southeastern Clinton County and northwestern Missouri, northern Clay County, and as well as eastern central Platte County here in western Missouri. This is not far from Kansas City. It's just to the north of Kansas City. The storm right now is moving northeast at about 50 miles per hour. And once again, we do have some pretty strong rotation right now that's located here near Smithville. And once again, this is moving northeast at 50 miles per hour, so it is a very fast moving storm, and it is going to be arriving to areas like Lathrop and eventually going towards Hamilton and Kingston down the road. But again, pretty strong area of rotation near Smithville right now. Here's what it looks like on reflectivity. This is the latest reflectivity update that just came in. Velocities aren't going to be matched up with the reflectivity, but the rotation itself would be located right up in here, and that's going to be approaching Lathrop and as well as Turney and as well as the Elmira area in western Missouri in the next several minutes. So once again, if you are in this tornado warning, you need to be seeking shelter immediately, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible. That's a better look at your rotation there. So again, this is going to be basically just a little rain wrapped here west of Kearney, Missouri. Rotation is still kind of on the strong side of things. This definitely could produce a tornado at any time. The correlation coefficient is not indicating any debris that's being lifted up into the atmosphere yet, but there is definitely a chance here over the next several minutes that we do see something drop as this continues to move into a more favorable environment up here to the north and parts of northern Missouri down the road. But for the time being, once again, this is just north of Kansas City. Tornado warning if you're just tuning in. Going to be approaching Plattsburgh and Lawson, as well as Holt, Missouri over the next several minutes. Once again, if you are in this tornado warning, you need to be in your safe place immediately. Once again, this does include Clinton, Clay, and Platte counties in western Missouri. And this storm, again, is moving northeast at about 50 miles per hour. So this storm, again, quickly moving to the northeast, and it very easily could produce a tornado at any time here in western Missouri. But once again, radar indicated rotation. Back down near Kansas City for reference, we're not really looking at any rotation down here. We do have a pretty frequent amount of lightning, but in Kansas City, I'm not really looking at any sort of tornado risk right now or imminent, but we'll continue to watch that activity here closely over the next several minutes as these storms do continue to ramp up and move more to the east and northeast. But once again, here's your rotation. So these are the winds going toward the radar. That is your winds going away from the radar. We have pretty strong rotation going, or at least strong velocities going away from the radar, and that would at least indicate that we do have some strong winds here, and that would at least indicate the possibility that we could get a potential tornado here as this storm does continue to move to the northeast. This will continue to move towards Plattsburgh over the next several minutes. Interstate 35 will also be on the track of this. Eventually, Cameron and Hamilton, Missouri will also be on the track of this down the road. And once again, that rotation is the reflectivity will update here in a second, but that rotation just west of Kearney here in Missouri. And it looks like the rotation is still pretty strong. This would be, again, where if there's a tornado, we're going to get it right here. That's going to be located right just to the southeast of Trimble, Missouri. The last scan definitely had stronger rotation for reference, so it's definitely possible that we may have just had a brief tornado or something along those lines. The last scan at 10:13 was much stronger, so it's definitely possible that we did have a brief tornado at least sometime maybe around 10:13. The rotation was stronger a couple minutes ago. Let's go back to the correlation coefficient, not indicating any sort of CC drop here. And since we are pretty close from at least to the radar site, that means that we would at least have some idea that if there was a tornado here, we would probably see something on radar. But once again, still radar indicated rotation. Tornado warning no longer includes Smithville, Missouri, and as well as Kearney, Missouri. If you're in Kearney or Smithville, at least in the downtown areas there, you no longer have to be in your safe place, but obviously if you are still in this pink polygon, you need to still stay in your safe place, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. Reflectivity should update here in a moment, and there you go. Rotation again is going to be rain wrapped. It would be right up in here, so that's where the rotation is currently located. This is quickly approaching Plattsburgh and Lathrop in western Missouri, just north of Kansas City. So once again, if you are in this tornado warning, make sure that you're staying in your safe place, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. This still does include Holt, Missouri. That's the only actual town that's included right now in this particular tornado warning. I'm going to see if we have any reports on this. Once again, if you're just tuning in, north of Kansas City is where we do have an active tornado warning. The rotation was strong a few moments ago, just to the north here of Kearney. So there may have been a brief tornado. Aside from that, though, the rotation is slightly weaker than before, but it definitely could recycle and strengthen as this does continue to move to the north. Interestingly enough, if we go to the correlation coefficient, it does show a little bit of something there, but it's not much. I don't think this is anything confirmed as of this exact moment. For a tornado, but I definitely wouldn't rule out that we just had something brief, maybe near Trimble. But the rotation's broadened out a little bit here over the last couple of scans. It looks like if we did have a tornado, it was brief, but we'll continue to keep a close eye on this storm. Once again, this is still an active tornado warning. It goes for about 15 more, or about 12 more minutes, excuse me, until 10:30, and that again includes areas north of Kansas City near Kearney. The only specific town again included in this is Holt, Missouri. So if you are in Holt, you need to be staying in your safe place, away from windows and lowest floor possible. We do have a radar site here as well. Let's go to this one. There you go. That's your rotation right there. This is a pretty good view of it. This radar updates much more frequently. It's a much shorter distance to actually see this particular storm, so that rotation is closer to the surface, and that is definitely still some rotation. We definitely could still get a tornado out of this. We actually have a couple different spots here. We have one in the dead center here of this rain, and then we also have another broad area back near Lily. So we actually have two pockets of rotation here. Here's the radar loop. And yeah, there may have been a tornado here. Look at that rotation. That was really strong rotation near Paradise at 10:14. I definitely am not ruling out that that was a brief tornado. Still some rotation. It is taking a bit of a left-hand turn, so that might occlude and potentially choke off the rotation here near Paradise and Lily in Missouri, but we'll have to wait and see what happens here over the next couple of scans. But that was definitely some very strong rotation just a moment ago back near Smithville. But again, this storm right now is moving to the northeast. So again, if you are in this tornado warning, continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible if you are in this tornado warning. And this storm right now is moving northeast. We actually had a couple of tornadoes overnight. We had actually more tornadoes overnight than we had last night when we had our live coverage for like 5 hours yesterday, and even after that. There was actually a confirmed tornado in northern Nebraska. I believe northern Nebraska or southern Nebraska, one of the two. There was a tornado sometime overnight last night that was confirmed by radar. We had at least a couple of tornadoes last night that were confirmed by radar. There's been a bunch of tornado warnings overnight. We've had a little bit of a lull here over the last couple of hours. We've only, I think, had like one tornado warning since like 7 a.m. So there hasn't been a whole lot as of recently, but I do think that activity will begin to ramp up again as we continue to go into the late morning and into the afternoon hours. I do think it's going to start to get very active. I do think the peak of the tornado risk today will be from 3 to 6, so that'll be really the peak today. And we'll talk more about our live stream plans for severe weather coverage after this warning. Once again, if you are just tuning in, we do still have some stronger rotation that is going to be approaching the Mecca and Lily area here just to the north of Kansas City in Missouri. So once again, a pretty strong area of rotation at one point has potentially been occluding over the last few minutes. You'll see here on the velocities loop that this storm has actually been weakening in terms of its rotation over the last several minutes. But at one point near Smithville, we did have some pretty strong rotation. So there may have been a tornado here. There may have not been a tornado. It's kind of one of those things that we just don't know. We didn't have any confirmation by radar, but there may have already been a tornado with this, and it's definitely not impossible that we get something else with this as it continues to move towards areas like Plattsburgh and Westbridge in Missouri. And that's your rotation still there. It's much weaker than before, but it still does exist on the back side here of this thunderstorm activity that we have near Westbridge and Lily. And once again, this will be moving towards Plattsburgh and as well as Lathrop. We actually have a pretty clean inflow on the backside of the storm. Got a little hook. That again would be where your tornado is located. If we still have one on the ground, or if there is going to be one on the ground, that's where it would be located. And once again, this is moving to the north and east. You need to stay in your safe place, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. You should be executing that tornado action plan if you are in this area. I do want to throw this out real quick. The NATOcast update, which we've seen this a lot over the last 24 hours, they are continuing to promote a more elevated tornado risk in eastern Iowa. Now, obviously, this isn't an official forecast, but I just wanted to point that out, that the tornado risk is probably going to be pretty significant today in eastern Iowa, and that would be primarily this afternoon. But that does look to be a bit more of a concern this afternoon in Iowa and even back into western Illinois. I do think we're going to have at least a couple of strong tornadoes today, and we will be talking about the general synoptic view of everything here pretty soon. We do also have a new tornado watch that should pop up here in a second. That includes Iowa and Missouri until 6 p.m. So the Storm Prediction Center has gone ahead and said, hey, there is a increasing threat now of tornadoes. The conditions are becoming more favorable, so they've now issued a tornado watch, and this goes until 6 p.m. And this does include where this tornado warning is too, or near it at least. So Kansas City's included in this, Chillicothe, as well as St. Joseph, Maryville, Indianola, Oskaloosa, Ottumwa, Kirksville, Moberly, as well as Marshall. All included again in this new tornado watch. A couple of strong tornadoes will be possible. Scattered hail up to 2 inches in diameter is also a possibility. And also there is going to be some scattered damaging wind gusts that are upwards of 70 miles per hour. So once again, brand new tornado watch here from the Storm Prediction Center for those in central, northern, and western parts of Missouri and southern Iowa until 6 p.m. tonight. We will talk more about that here in just a few minutes. Once this tornado warning is probably canceled. I don't think this one will continue. We do still have some very weak rotation, but it has occluded for the most part near Trimble. This rotation, again, was much stronger back near Smithville, and we may have had a tornado on the ground there for a couple minutes near Smithville and just southeast of Trimble. Again, no confirmation yet. We didn't have a correlation coefficient drop, but that very well may have been a tornado there about 10 minutes ago or so, just east of Smithville, Missouri. And once again, this is moving to the north. It's going to be approaching Plattsburgh and Lathrop near Holt, Missouri. And Cameron and Hamilton will be the long-term track of this. We may start to see some sort of recycling, though, with this. I would definitely be mindful if you are out in front of the storm near, like, Cameron or Hamilton. There might be some sort of recycling trying to happen here. We'll have to watch that potential very closely. This storm, obviously, is entering a much more favorable environment here for tornadic activity. So it's definitely possible that we do end up getting something out of the storm as it does continue to move to the north and east across Missouri. I do think for the time being, though, the rotation's weakened enough to the point where this tornado warning will probably end up being canceled. With that said, I would still just stay in your safe place until the warning is officially canceled. We still have about 5 minutes on the warning, so it shouldn't be too much longer until that warning has been lifted. We have had a little bit of weak rotation near Kansas City as well, a little bit closer to that area. We did have a little bit of weak rotation earlier. This would be the area that we're watching for. I'm not seeing any rotation in particular right now, but we will continue to watch this cluster of storms as it does continue to move throughout western Missouri, as the tornado risk will continue to increase as these storms do move again into a much more favorable environment here over the next couple of hours in Missouri and as well as southern Iowa. But once again, tornado warning still ongoing here for just a few more minutes near Holt, Missouri. And this will be your rotation. So those are the winds going toward the radar. That's the winds going away from the radar. Still some very broad rotation. I do think, again, it is going into a recycling phase where it might try to re-intensify as this moves towards Lathrop, Turney, and as well as Cameron in western Missouri over the next several minutes. So I do think there will be some sort of recycling stage here as this continues to move that direction. And here's this correlation coefficient, by the way. Oh, look at that. There actually may have been a tornado here. We were looking at the other radar site. That looks very peculiar here. That is where the rotation is located on the other radar site. You could line that up. That's where the rotation was. There actually may have been something here, like, recently. The tornado warning was just canceled, but that actually might have been a brief tornado there being picked up by the correlation coefficient. It also could be contamination for the record, but that was in the area where there was some pretty strong rotation. Definitely possible that we had a tornado there briefly. The close-up radar site was picking up on that, so that might have been a tornado, but I think overall the rotation was stronger before that actual correlation coefficient drop. So I'm not super confident that was definitely a tornado, but not ruling it out, because we did have strong rotation there probably from about 10:05-ish p.m. or a.m. excuse me, all the way up until about 10:20. So it's about a 15-minute time frame there. It started to weaken as of recently, but possibly a tornado there. And I mentioned it before, but there was definitely a chance there just east of Smithville that we did have a tornado. All right, we no longer have a tornado warning. We do still have a tornado possible on this storm. These are our only 2 severe thunderstorm warnings that we have on the map right now, but we'll continue to watch this activity very closely. Again, if you are just tuning in, we now have officially a tornado watch that has been issued. This does include Missouri and as well as southern Iowa, and this will go all the way until 6 p.m. tonight. Their wording on here is that a few tornadoes and a couple of intense tornadoes are possible today. That again includes southern Iowa and much of northern and central Missouri. In addition to that, there will be scattered large hail and isolated very large hail up to 2 inches in diameter, and as well as scattered damaging wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour will be possible. And again, this is your tornado watch that has just been issued for a large chunk of Missouri and as well as southern Iowa. For those that are wondering, in Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, Davenport, Des Moines, any of those areas, if you're wondering, where's my watch? Well, you're still a few hours out from actually seeing any severe weather, so there's a reason why you don't have any sort of watch yet. The storms that are just southwest of Des Moines right now are not overly impressive. The majority of these storms right now are just ordinary thunderstorms. None of them are severe at this point. I do expect these to intensify a little bit more, though, as we get closer to lunchtime, so there will probably be some sort of increasing tornado risk as we get closer to lunchtime, maybe a little bit after that, across central and southern Iowa, and as well as eastern Iowa down the road. I am expecting 2 rounds of storms today, so one of which will be this round that'll happen during the late morning and into the early afternoon hours, and then a more intense round of storms that'll happen during the mid to late afternoon hours. This is what it looks like on the future radar for today. So this is right around 1 p.m. today. We'll be dealing with a pretty significant area of storms that'll stretch anywhere from Iowa back into central and northern Missouri, and there will be a couple of tornadoes with this activity in addition to some damaging winds. By 2 o'clock, those storms are moving into eastern Iowa. So again, storms being possible here, all modes of severe weather still being a possibility, with large to very large hail as the main concern, but there also is a chance there for an isolated tornado or 2. By 3 o'clock is when I am expecting some more significant and more robust supercells to develop across southern Iowa and northern central Missouri, where a couple of strong tornadoes will be possible. Any discrete cells that we see this afternoon, they are definitely going to have an elevated tornado risk, so obviously make sure that you have multiple ways to receive alerts and have a tornado action plan in place just in case. By 4 o'clock, these storms continue to move to the north and northeast through areas near Des Moines and northern Missouri, where again all modes of severe weather will be possible, with large to very large hail and a strong tornado threat existing. By 5 o'clock, that first round of storms will eventually move into western Illinois, and those storms will still be capable of damaging winds, large hail, and maybe a couple of tornadoes. By the time we get closer to 6, those discrete cells or semi-discrete cells will move into eastern Iowa, where again the main concern is large to very large hail and a strong tornado. By 7 to 8 o'clock, storms approaching Chicago and as well as Rockford. That second round of storms is going to be approaching Davenport and western Wisconsin. By around 8 o'clock, I think a lot of the storms will begin to weaken a little bit due to daylight heating. I think that's going to kind of taper down after about 8 o'clock tonight. So overall, the threat of severe weather should be dwindling after 8 tonight, but I'm not ruling out still an isolated tornado or some damaging winds through about 10 tonight. And then after 10 o'clock, I think the majority of these severe storms weaken out. So really the main time frame for today for severe weather is anywhere from now all the way until 10 p.m. But the greatest concern really is going to fall between 3 and 7 p.m. That is when the greatest tornado risk and the greatest hail risk is going to exist, as long as the atmosphere recovers quick enough. That's one of the question marks at this point, because we have this large first round of storms moving through Iowa. As long as the air mass behind this recovers fast enough as we go into the afternoon hours and those discrete and semi-discrete storms form, there will likely be a more significant and more robust threat of severe weather this afternoon across southern parts of Iowa and as well as northern Missouri, and that'll eventually move into western Illinois. Now, the Storm Prediction Center will have another outlook in an hour from now, so we will be live at least for the next 3 hours or so. covering any severe weather that happens, but the enhanced risk is still in the same place for the most part. It does include western Illinois, it does include northern Missouri, and it also includes a large chunk of Iowa like Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, Davenport, and northeastern Missouri, where a strong tornado risk in addition to some very large hail will be possible today. Now, the risk of severe weather has changed a little bit. They did get rid of the risk that was back down in northeast Texas, so this is gone. I know the thumbnail does show that that area is still technically in a severe weather risk. It has changed. They're no longer in that risk for severe weather. Who is still in the risk, though, are areas anywhere from Chicago, which Chicago, by the way, is in a slight risk of severe weather. We have a slight risk all the way back through Arkansas, and still parts of eastern Kansas, which that would be out of this activity. So if you're in Kansas City, the storms will be winding down over the next hour. But we still have a risk, a slight risk across much of Illinois, and only a marginal threat if you're back over in Indiana. Now, the main concern again today is the threat for large to very large hail. Notice we do have that hatched area, which would represent the threat of some significant hail, and we're talking about the potential for hail exceeding 2 inches in diameter. In addition to that, the threat for damaging winds will exist, but it's a bit of a lower risk overall. The significant tornado risk is anywhere in that yellow shaded area, so Galesburg, Illinois, Davenport, Quincy, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, Waterloo, Des Moines, all of those areas, you need to make sure that you do have a tornado action plan in place, because this is where we do have a threat for a couple of strong tornadoes this afternoon, again, across northeast Missouri, western Illinois, and central and southern and eastern parts of Iowa have that greatest concern today. We still have a chance for an isolated tornado or two outside of this area. That would include anywhere as far south as Little Rock, Arkansas, and as far east as like Chicago and even near Indianapolis. We might see some sort of brief tornado instance happen, but the greatest concern once again will be this afternoon across areas here in the western parts of the Midwest near Iowa, Illinois, and as well as Missouri. Again, if you are just tuning in, we do have a pretty significant area of storms that has been developing here for the last several minutes. We did have a tornado warning approximately about 10 minutes ago back over near Plattsburgh, Missouri, just north of Kansas City. We are still monitoring the threat for an isolated tornado out of this activity as it continues to move to the northeast. Rotation has weakened substantially, though, at this point. We don't really have any rotation anymore, but it is definitely still possible that the storms do try to recycle as they continue to move to the east, northeast, and northeast. We do have some broad rotation that's developing near Missouri City as well. Nothing that is strong or imminent for a tornado, but I would be really watching this activity closely as it continues to move across western Missouri, where we could end up getting an isolated tornado as these storms continue to move to the north and east over the next several minutes. So definitely gonna be something to watch for around this area. All right, let me get to chat here. Let me get to a couple notifications. Thank you, Sweet, for becoming a minimum velocity member. I appreciate that, and welcome to the Velocities. What is southern Wisconsin looking like for later today? The main concern at this point is going to be damaging winds anywhere in Wisconsin. I don't think we'll see really much of a tornado risk evolve there. I think the majority of the storms that happen there in southern Wisconsin are not going to be super concerning. I do think damaging winds and some large hail, though, really the main concern. Maybe a brief tornado if you're in like the southwestern quadrant here, like near Madison or just south and west of there, really between like 5 and 9 o'clock. But I do think the risk overall is a little bit on the lower side of things when it comes to the tornado risk. Thank you, Colin, for the $2 super chat. I'm just 20 miles west of St. Louis. How will my day look? 20 miles west of St. Louis, main concern, damaging winds and isolated large hail. But the more significant threat will be off to your north. And that'll be primarily during the afternoon hours. Thank you, Angela, for the $2 super chat. Sirens just stopped in my town. Yeah, most of the time, tornado sirens nowadays, for some reason, a lot of the time, we now have tornado sirens playing for severe thunderstorm warnings now. It's not just for tornado warnings. They also play for severe thunderstorm warnings, so definitely kind of interesting. And that might have been why that was happening. I don't know where the exact location that you're in, but if you're in that tornado warning, then that makes more sense. But yeah, the tornado warning again has been canceled, but I am watching this other area of rotation near Missouri City that is becoming a little bit more concerning. It has the potential to develop something, and again, this is just northeast of Kansas City. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here, but we do at least have some broad rotation right now approaching Excelsior Springs, maybe. That area will be in the track of that here soon. Thank you, Face, for the 199. Yeah, we have a couple of live cameras on the right side of your screen. Galesburg, Illinois, and Fort Madison are both on the right side of your screen. Those will be our live cameras for today. We'll have Connor Croft later today, but that is where we do have a 10% tornado risk. So that is where the hatched area is. We also have Des Moines. We do have Kansas City, but the storms have already kind of rolled through Kansas City, so there wouldn't be much of a point in showing that. But there was, yeah, those are the main live cams. We also have one in Rochelle, in Illinois, so we do have a couple of other ones, but yeah, we'll continue to update them as needed. A rib for the 199. Southern Illinois threat and timing. Really, the overall threat would just be isolated damaging winds and hail, and it's any time this afternoon or evening. It's a pretty robust, isolated threat. It's not going to be anything too significant down that direction. I'm in Kearney, and it's calming down. Yeah, the storms are just passing through you now, so you're going to be calming down, and after these storms get by you, you're done for the day. Friendly reminder, by the way, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. And also, in addition to that, make sure to like the stream. And we will be, again, live today for a pretty good amount of time. So here's the plan for today, and this is a non-negotiable plan because I cannot change what I'm doing today. I have an exam at 2:30, so here's the plan. We are going to be live from now until 2, maybe at the latest like 2:20. If there's something significant happening, we can stay live up until 2:20. After that, we'll be coming back at around 4 for severe weather coverage. So that's the plan for today. Unfortunately, I cannot control that, and we're probably going to have to end the live stream when there's a tornado warning happening. It's almost inevitable that that's going to happen. So I just want to throw that out there. There should be other people live around 2 anyways on YouTube, so if you do need live coverage, there should be some of that. But we'll be here up until about 2, maybe 2:30 or so, and then we'll also be coming back around 4 to 4:30 if there are still tornado warnings at that point, which there probably will be. So yeah, we'll be kind of doing a lot of different stuff here in between everything, but once my exam over, it is broadcast meteorology. So I'm literally just doing a weather forecast. So we're not doing much else different from what we're doing right now. It's pretty much the same thing as what I'm doing, other than this being a live stream, and that would just be a general weather forecast. How's it going, Daniel? Welcome back. It sucks, though. I wish we could be live non-stop today. Because my plan was, if we were able to, I would have just gone live like now, and we would have been probably live for about 12 hours today. And I'm not even kidding. I would have probably gone 12 hours straight on a live stream with the activity that we're going to have today. By the way, today's live stream is brought to you by Radar Omega. We actually have a live cam in just north of Kansas City. This is a Dragon Nation. I don't know what that is, but it's north of Platte City. Look at this behind the storms. Clear skies and dry air. Beautiful, beautiful stuff here. That's behind the storms. In front of the storms, not so beautiful. The live cams give you a good picturesque view of what's happening right now, which is just completely cloudy skies out in front of these storms. With that said, today's live stream is brought to you by Radar Omega. You can download Radar Omega on your iOS and Android device with the top link in the description below on iOS and Android. That is the weather app we'll be using throughout this entire live stream. If you need a way to stay ahead of the storms today, this is the perfect app to do so. There are live storm chasers. There are live cameras in the app that you can access in addition to live radar feed. Tons of different customizability and features that you can get only here on Radar Omega. You can download it with the top link in the description below on iOS and Android for only $8.99. It is 100% worth it. There are also subscriptions that get you things like computer models and other cool features. There are satellite imagery, computer models. They even have a 3D radar, which is also pretty cool. You can see a 3D radar here just east of Kansas City. Got the line of storms here. It's pretty cool stuff. Yeah, again, check it out. Top link in the description below on iOS and Android. I highly recommend Radar Omega. We do have another severe thunderstorm warning, and that's going to be the new one that we had a few minutes ago. Still 3 severe thunderstorm warnings, all in the same general vicinity across western Missouri. We do have at least a little bit of broad rotation still that's located here near the XL Sire Springs. We're going to be past this location in a few minutes, so we won't have to worry about pronunciation, but this will be approaching Lawson. Still some broad rotation right now, moving northeast. So we'll have to continue to watch this storm closely. Not ruling out an isolated tornado threat as this moves into a more favorable environment here pretty soon. Hey, Richard for the 499. What are your thoughts on Washington, Iowa? And timing. Anywhere in Iowa, the timing is pretty much between 11 to... well, let me see where this is first. That is in... Alright, so basically anywhere in, like, eastern parts of Iowa. Your main timing is going to be between 1 and 6. That's, like, the general time frame. I'll show you the future radar really quickly here. So this will be the general timing. We'll be dealing with 2 rounds of storms today. The first one is very certain to happen, and it's already happening. So this is our very certain round. This is not really a conditional risk. This is expected that we are going to see some damaging winds and an isolated tornado threat, in addition to some very large hail, with the first round of storms that rolls through Iowa and eventually going through eastern Iowa this afternoon. This is 1 p.m., by the way. This is 2 to 3. Storms are moving into eastern Iowa and western Illinois, with the main concern again being damaging winds, large hail, and perhaps a couple of tornadoes. By 4 to 5 o'clock, that second round of storms will develop. That'll develop here in central and southern Iowa, back into northern Missouri. This second round of storms is going to be more robust. It's going to be more significant. This is where we're going to be watching for the threat of a couple of strong tornadoes. And again, I'm not trying to scare you here, but this is going to be the more significant round of storms as long as the air mass recovers fast enough. That is a big critical part of this today. This is a little bit more conditional in terms of a threat, but I do think this is more likely to happen than what we saw yesterday in southwest Kansas, where nothing happened. There was almost nothing that happened yesterday in southwest Kansas. I do think this is a more likely scenario that we are going to see the second round of storms develop this afternoon. This is 6 o'clock, so those cells will continue to move into eastern Iowa, with the main concern being damaging winds, large hail, and a couple of tornadoes. And eventually by 7 to 8 o'clock, storms are moving into the Chicago suburbs with some damaging winds, and then Rockford will get hit not once but twice. The first time will be around 6 to 8, and then the second time will be closer to 9 to 10. The second round may weaken before it gets there, but if you do get hit, the main concern again would be damaging winds, isolated large hail, and perhaps a couple of tornadoes. And again, we'll continue to go through the timing a few times here in this live stream, so that won't be the first time. We'll continue to kind of roll through that timing. Hey, you girl Dev for the $5 super chat. What time do you think Terre Haute, Indiana should expect storms? I think if you see any storms, it'll be probably around or just after sunset. I'm not expecting really anything significant there, so strong tornadoes are not something that I would be worrying about. I would be very mindful, though, of the threat for at least large hail and damaging winds. I think those will be the 2 main concerns there in Terre Haute, Indiana. But overall, again, I'm not expecting anything substantial there. I think the severe weather threat, again, will be a little bit more on the lower side of things in that particular area. Thank you, Dave, for the $5 super chat. Eagerly waiting in Burlington, Iowa. Love weather. Well, if you love weather, today's your day. It'll be all sorts of weather today. Maybe there'll be some snow after this, too. You never know. Get a little bit of snow after all this activity. That'd be some crazy stuff. Here's your rotation, by the way. It's just south of Lawson, near Crystal Lakes. Still have some broad rotation. Once again, not a tornado warning, but they do have a tornado possible label on this storm, meaning that there's at least some broad rotation, and there's still a chance that we might get something out of this storm here in the next little while. And once again, this is associated with the new tornado watch that was issued here for those in central and northern Missouri and southern Iowa. We are down to 1 severe thunderstorm warning, so this is the only one that we have left, and we are still watching, again, a broad area of circulation that is located near Lawson. So we'll continue to watch this very closely. Cowgill, Braemar, and as well as Polo and Elmira will be in the track of this here within the next 20 to 25 minutes. If it snowed after all this, you would just know the weather's crazy. If that happened, that'd be something. But back up in northern Iowa, it's in like the 40s right now. It's like in the low to mid 40s in some areas. Dylan, I wish that's how it worked, but unfortunately it doesn't work like that. If it snowed, it would be typical Midwest weather. Yeah, back in February when we had the Wisconsin tornado, we ended up having we ended up having snow on the ground when that tornado happened. It was crazy. It's not unheard of. It actually happens pretty frequently during the winter. It's interesting. It's interesting stuff. Thank you, Zachary, for the $4.99. It looks like St. Louis is dodging this. I do think St. Louis will get some isolated storm activity. Let's go back to the timing here. I haven't really talked about St. Louis too much here, but I do think St. Louis will get some storm activity. I don't think it's going to be significant, but I do think some isolated large hail or damaging winds will be possible. So around 3 to 5 o'clock would be your main time frame to be weather aware, at least during. So this is 4 o'clock. And again, notice some more significant thunderstorm activity there near St. Louis. But overall, it's going to be pretty widely scattered, so not everybody will see it. But if you do see it, the main concern would be large hail and damaging winds. And maybe a brief tornado. And that second round of more robust storms will try to develop. I don't think St. Louis will be impacted by that second round, but maybe a storm just to your north that produces a tornado risk or something along those lines. Definitely going to be a possibility. And if we go back to the tornado parameter values for today, which is something that was off the charts yesterday, but we had like no moisture, which was a big issue in the mid and upper levels. The tornado parameter values today are pretty significant still, especially this afternoon with those discrete cells. We have tornado parameter values that are upwards of 3 to 4 in some spots, and that would be out of the second round of storms that's going to be more robust and more discrete, and that would produce a more significant tornado risk across southern Iowa and northern Missouri. And then this will be closer to like 5 and 6. Wow. The HRRR really goes crazy here at 6. That is, wow. I mean, I wasn't expecting this high of values. This might just, again, this is just one run, but it's definitely higher than what we've been seeing over the last 24 hours. It's a pretty short-lived significant tornado risk. It's between 4 and 8. But yeah, those values are pretty high for tornado parameter values, which again gives us an idea of like shear, basically accounts for many different ingredients. I have to look and see. I mean, that's high. NATOcast came out with their latest outlook, still showing that area where those significant tornado parameter values are the highest, they do have a moderate risk there for a tornado risk. Now, again, this is an experimental tool. It's not an official forecast. It's just a experimental tool, but they have been accurate in the past. They've also been highly inaccurate. There's been many cases where it's been very spot on and sometimes where it's just completely off. But yeah, that's definitely a little concerning here. Seeing those kind of values here around 6 o'clock tonight. I have to look at some photographs too. That's a little bit worse than what we saw earlier, so it's definitely small cause for alarm. There's a lot of turning in the atmosphere, so I'm definitely not ruling out that we end up getting at least a couple of strong tornadoes. That's definitely an elevated risk there across eastern Iowa. And I mentioned this last night, but I do think the greatest threat for tornadoes will be in this area here. And that would primarily be in northeast Missouri and southeast Iowa. If I'm a storm chaser today, I'm chasing somewhere near Iowa City or right along Highway 34 to get an easier access to Illinois. But like I would be in between Burlington and Ottumwa, I think that's how you pronounce it. That's where I would be, because I think that's where the greatest tornado risk will be today. All right, thank you, Misty, for the very generous $20 super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Bruno, for the $10 super chat. No message, but I do appreciate that. Thank you, Haley, for the $10 super chat. Will Grand Rapids, Michigan be okay? I don't expect really anything in Grand Rapids. I think if you get any severe weather, it will be tomorrow. And a little quick update on tomorrow's risk, since we will not have a video today. It'll just be 2 live streams. The severe weather risk tomorrow is across southern Michigan and much of Ohio and Indiana. We may have to do another live stream tomorrow at this point, because tomorrow is another elevated tornado risk. There's another 5% tornado risk tomorrow. Let's go to the future radar and give you an idea of timing here. So storms will happen overnight. That'll stabilize the atmosphere briefly. And then by the mid to late afternoon hours, I think that's when the more significant storms will happen. But this is 12. So storms moving through areas in Indiana and Michigan. This is eventually by 1 and 2. So storms moving into northwest Ohio and southern Michigan. By 3 to 4, storms moving through Detroit, near Columbus. Main concern will be damaging winds, but there is a slightly more elevated tornado risk once again tomorrow. There is a 5% tornado risk across Detroit, Lansing, near Kalamazoo, Fort Wayne, Toledo, and Cleveland, Mansfield, and Lima. Now, Grand Rapids, you're kind of on the cusp of that tornado risk, but I think the main concern will be out of the initial storms that develop, with damaging winds as the primary concern. I don't think we'll see too much else beyond that in Grand Rapids, or at least the vicinity there. Maybe a brief tornado. That'll be primarily during the morning. So that'll be really what I'm the most concerned about if you are in Grand Rapids. Rotation, by the way, is a bit weaker than before on this storm near Elmira. That's why we haven't really been talking about it. But if it does re-intensify, obviously we'll continue to monitor this storm very closely. It is near Lawson. There's at least some gusty winds, maybe even damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. Got a little hook shape maybe trying to form here, so we'll see if that develops. And that'll again continue to move to the north, going toward, or northeast, going towards Kingston, Polo, and Hamilton over the next several minutes. Thank you, Gibbs, for the $5 super chat. Me and my buddy are in Waterloo, Iowa. We both love stream, so we are going to storm watch until it gets too bad. Luckily, we've got a good view of it. Yes, good luck and stay safe out there. It's definitely going to be an active day. I don't know about Waterloo. I think you might be slightly far to the north for the significant tornado risk, but you'll definitely probably at least get a couple of large hailstorms in the vicinity for sure. Thank you, Mike, for the $2 super chat. What is your thought for Darlington, Wisconsin later today? I think if you're anywhere in southwest Wisconsin, that's where you really need to be the most vigilant, south and west of Madison. I do think we have a slightly more elevated tornado risk in here, and also a more elevated hail risk. I think the further north and east you go, though, the risk of severe weather drops off substantially. I think we're dropping off exponentially the further north you go of this area. I do think Madison, though, you still also have to stay vigilant and weather aware, but the most significant severe weather threat will be in southwest Wisconsin. And that'll, again, mainly be during the mid to late afternoon into the early evening. Thank you, Siv, for the $5 super chat. We are en route to Ottumwa, Iowa, 2 hours out, and booking it. Good luck. You're not going to be arriving late, because the storms aren't going to really... The significant discrete cells aren't going to start until, 3. So you still got plenty of time there. Got about 4 hours. That's at least the expectation, is that they'll start probably around... they'll probably start around, again, 3 or so. That's as long as the air mass recovers fast enough. So we'll end up having to wait and see if that ends up happening. It may or may not happen. If it does, though, it is definitely going to be a significant day of severe weather. Thank you, Gibbs, again for another $5 super chat. Me and my buddy want to head to Cedar Rapids and get more viewing area. Cedar Rapids isn't bad either. I think that, yeah, Cedar Rapids is definitely not a bad spot. I really do think if there's going to be a strong tornado risk, we'll probably have that risk much higher between Iowa City and Bloomfield. I think this is really the highest spot. So if the Storm Prediction Center was we're going to issue a moderate risk for tornadoes, which I don't know if they will do, but if they were to, I think that would be probably the area, would be here in southeast Iowa. I think this is where the greatest threat for tornadoes will exist today. Now, again, it is still slightly conditional this afternoon. It's going to depend on if the air mass recovers fast enough. And if it does, then we are definitely going to have the chance here for a couple of strong tornadoes, especially in southern parts of Iowa, southeastern Iowa, and northern and northeastern Missouri. And they already issued a tornado watch, which this is going to be for 2 rounds of storms. The first one that's already happening, and then the second round of storms that is a little bit more conditional. That'll start around 2 to 4, and that'll produce the threat for a couple of strong tornadoes this afternoon and into the early evening, mainly across areas east of Des Moines into western Illinois and northeastern Missouri and southeastern Iowa would be where that greatest threat will end up being. That's overall the broad overview of at least the greatest threat. Obviously, I do think the greatest threat will be more localized in that little spot that I outlined here between Iowa City and Centerville, but that is, again, still to be determined. Look at this. So we were covering this at 10:13 a.m. We were live for this a little while ago. And it looks like they've now confirmed, or at least reportedly, possibly a tornado here in the Smithville area of Missouri. This is at 10:13 a.m. We can go back in time here on Radar Omega, and we can actually look at the correlation coefficient and such, and we can kind of line this up with timing. This might be too far. Nope, that's perfect. Look at this. Right here. One second. Let's go back to here. This right here was the tornado. It's that right there. So that correlation coefficient that we had there at the end, that was a tornado. Presumably, at least. Yeah, this isn't a confirmed tornado, but they do at least have on here that there is mobile homes that are flipped over, no injuries reported, time estimated by radar. So this would be our first confirmed tornado so far of the live stream, as long as it holds true. This would just be debris fallout, by the way. But that right there was a tornado a little earlier. I wish we were looking at that radar site when that happened. We were looking at the one that was to the left of this, which was showing us the really strong rotation, which, again, I did mention that there was probably at least a tornado at some point here, but this definitely would have helped. And that clearly, again, would be your tornado that happened around 10:13 a.m. in the Smithville area of Missouri. If you know any friends or family here, make sure they're doing all right. Once again, tree damage near Collins Road in the Camp Branch area. Mobile home also flipped over. No injuries reported. Time estimated by radar. So that would have been, again, your tornado that happened a little under an hour ago with that particular storm. Definitely a pretty impressive storm on radar when that happened. The rotation was awfully strong. We can also go back in time on this one, and I can actually show you the actual rotation here. Let's go back to that. So again, this is when we had strong rotation. It's north of Kansas City, probably at least a funnel cloud at this time. That was right around 10 a.m. And that right there would have been your tornado. Right there. Clearly. I mean, this is tight rotation as can be right there. That is almost undoubtedly that was a tornado. The evidence is just extremely high there. And then the tornado occluded right around here near Paradise. So this was on the ground probably for about 5 minutes. Yeah, that's clear as day. And then it occluded. Yeah, that right there is a tornado that we had at the beginning of the stream. Undoubtedly. You can look at past data of weather radars as well in the Radar Omega app. And if you need a weather app to stay ahead of the storms today, you can download Radar Omega on your Apple or Android device with the top link in the description below on iOS and Android. It has plenty of features like live cameras, live storm chasers even in the app. You have radar data, velocities. You can even track out storms with this handy dandy tracking tool, and a ton more. They have computer models, satellite imagery, all sorts of other features, lots of customizability. You can download it with the top link in the description below on iOS and Android. We do have some other damage reports coming out of Hillsdale, Kansas. We do have some downed power lines east of Hillsdale State Park. Time is estimated by radar, which is right around 9:50. And also, as of about 10 a.m. near Overland Park, there were several reports of power lines that were down and power outages in the Overland Park area. Once again, time was estimated by radar. And north of Kansas City, we also had another area of widespread power outages, which that actually could have been from the tornado too. That tornado that we had a little while ago, the rotation was strong going through this entire area. Or maybe not there, but it was like right about here. So that actually might have been because of that. So some widespread power outages just north of Kansas City near Gladstone. So definitely interesting there. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued for those near Kingston, Hamilton, Polo, goes all the way back through the Gilman City. The main concern here is going to be the threat for damaging winds. They have removed the tornado possible label at this point, but obviously there is still a chance down the road as it heads into a more favorable environment that we might get an isolated tornado, so we will continue to watch this storm very closely as it does continue to move to the north and east. Thank you, Cindy, for the $5.55 super chat. That's oddly specific. Thank you for the super chat. Southeast Iowa, thanks for keeping us up to date. No problem, and I appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully you stay safe there, and make sure that you have multiple ways to receive alerts. Brady, if you have any photos, feel free to send them in. Hey, Rocky, for the $4.99. I live in 10 minutes north of Ottumwa. Thank you. Stay safe. Yeah, that's going to be the hot spot for today. Again, I think the greatest tornado risk, unfortunately, will probably unfold in here. And I'm not trying to, I'm not saying this to scare you guys. I just think this is, in my opinion, where that greatest tornado risk would be right in here between Centerville and Iowa City. And I do think we're going to at least get a strong tornado, maybe two, in that area. If not, we obviously could have it anywhere in the 10% tornado risk today. And again, that 10% hatch tornado risk does include anywhere from central Iowa, like Des Moines, back into Waterloo, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids. A very small sliver, by the way, of southwest Wisconsin is in that area. Galesburg, Illinois, which is where one of our live cams is positioned for today. And we also have Davenport, Quincy, Kirksville, Centerville. I mean, a bunch of areas are in this area for that 10% tornado risk. But I do think the more elevated tornado risk will probably exist right in here. Now, I don't know if they'll issue a moderate risk. I don't think they will. I just don't see the confidence being high enough for a localized higher tornado risk. Even though the NATOcast shows that, and it has been showing that for the last couple of days now, I just don't think the confidence is high enough for there to be a 15% tornado risk. I'm not ruling it out, but I think it might be a bit of a stretch. I just don't think the confidence is high enough. Because that second round of storms is still a little conditional. It's not for certain at this point. It is still something that could very easily change between now and then. It's not set in stone. Because, again, if the air mass doesn't recover fast enough, those storms will struggle more to develop. But if it does recover fast enough, we are definitely in play there for a significant tornado risk this afternoon and evening. But primarily this afternoon. Luckily, today's severe weather risk is during the afternoon. Luckily, this is not during the evening or overnight hours. Or as in after sunset. The majority of this tornado risk will not be until after, the tornado risk yesterday, again, was all after midnight. We had no tornado warnings until after midnight last night. And then today, it should all be in the afternoon and maybe up until about 8 or 9 o'clock. And then it should kind of dwindle after that. So I do think today's tornado risk at least is going to be mostly during the afternoon. Maybe a couple tornado warnings after sunset, but it should be a lot less than what we had this last night. We had a bunch of tornado warnings overnight. I mean, I think we had at least 6 or 7. We did have a couple of confirmed tornadoes too. I woke up to a bunch of notifications on my phone. Thank you, Gibbs, by the way, for becoming a minimum velocity member. Appreciate that, and welcome to the Velocities. Thank you, for the $2 super chat. This is not as bad as what we had in March of 2023. We had the 2 high risks back in 2023, and I'm not expecting something like that to repeat in this area. I don't think this is going to be as significant. With that being said, we could still see strong tornadoes, which is something we did see that day, but it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be probably as significant. It's not going to be as widespread, but it's definitely still a significant threat where we probably at least will have a few tornadoes, which again, a couple of those will be on the stronger side of things. Thank you, Brandon, for the $5 super chat. Tornado sirens blared for 20 minutes, and I'll give the city of Kansas City for calling me to warn about that supposed tornado in Smithville. Yeah, I mean, luckily the tornado sirens went off. Again, tornado sirens is something that you really should never rely on, but if it's always a method, at least, for receiving alerts. It might not be the best method, but it is a method. And it's obviously something that can be very unreliable, especially if power goes out or something like that, or a failure happens, or whatever it might be. But with that being said, I'm glad it helped. Glad that helped. Do have a little bit of rotation near Kingston. Just a little bit. It's nothing strong right now, but we do have some broad rotation developing here near Kingston, Missouri. So a little bit of rotation in this storm still. It's not really organized at this point, but this is a storm that already has produced, or at least this area of storms has produced a tornado. It's still possible that we get another one here down the road. Too many people rely on tornado sirens. Yeah, unfortunately, that's one of those big misconceptions. If you guys want to send me photos, you can tweet me on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX. The link's in the description. And in addition to that, we also have our Facebook page at Max Velocity WX on Facebook. The link to that is at the bottom of the description. The Storm Prediction Center has just issued a new mesoscale discussion for central and northeastern Missouri. This is going to be for a marginal risk of hail will accompany isolated elevated convection in the short term. The greater severe risk developing right around lunchtime. So we got a couple of storms firing up here that are in central Missouri. And that is where we're watching for potentially some significant hail, or at least some marginal hail, but perhaps a couple of storms with significant hail. These are elevated storms, meaning that they are a little bit higher up into the atmosphere than those surface-based storms that are back over here in western Missouri right now that already produced a tornado risk. So a slightly different environment here. With that being said, this is an area that we'll have to watch for some significant hail. And we do have actually a couple of storms out here already. And you'll see that here near Jefferson City. We do have a couple of hailstorms developing. Once again, these are elevated. So just kind of an example, I'll do a diagram here, but this is the surface. This is, let's just say, 5,000 feet. And then this is like, I don't know, let's just say this is like 12,500 feet. So basically, these storms over here are developing around this point. All right, for example, it's an approximation. They might be lower or higher. It depends. And then over here, this would be what we're looking at in western Missouri right now. So a storm like this that is much closer to the surface has a much better chance of producing a tornado than one that's like this, that's elevated. Because look how much further it would have to go down to the ground for a tornado. It's just a very hard environment to have a tornado risk. So these elevated storms that we have over here are mainly going to be hail producers. There might be some damaging winds, but it's still a lower risk overall. The tornado risk is basically zero out of this storm activity. With that said, there is going to be another tornado risk later today with these surface-based storms that come toward you, and those ones will have that chance for a tornado. And again, that's what we're dealing with right now in western Missouri with the storms that we have right now. And that right there, again, is some broad rotation that we've been watching near Kingston, Missouri. But the storms that are, again, back over to the east, those are elevated. And elevated storms hardly ever produce a tornado risk, or at least a notable tornado risk. They're usually pretty low. Some low clouds in Des Moines. We do have a live cam in Des Moines. I'll see if there's anything going on there. I think we do. Maybe not. Never mind. We only have Fort Madison and Burlington. We have Fort Madison on the right side of your screen, which they are not going to see storms until a little bit later today. Same thing goes for Galesburg. Once again, near Kingston, we do have some broad rotation that we're watching. This is approaching Hamilton right now and Breckenridge in Missouri. This is not a tornado-warned cell, but I'm definitely not ruling out that there's some sort of maybe rotating, wall cloud or something like that. It's entirely possible, but nothing imminent, no sort of lowering to the ground that we have being reported, and the rotation is still on the broad side of things on radar, meaning that we don't actively have a tornado, but it is going to be something to watch for as the storm moves.
A new tornado warning has been issued
to the northeast. We do have a new tornado warning in Iowa. This is northwest of Des Moines. Oh, look at this. This could produce a tornado. This is near Woodward. You need to seek shelter immediately if you're in Woodward or the Buton area near Madrid or Merid. That's going towards Luther. Again, just northwest of Des Moines. That is almost definitely a tornado. We have a tornado in progress, I believe.
This is an urgent alert. A tornado is on the ground. Seek shelter immediately.
All right. Again, northwest of Des Moines. This is correlation coefficient picking up on a tornado that has now just dropped on the ground. This is moving quickly to the north-northeast. That is a deep correlation coefficient drop. This could be a strong tornado that's in progress. This is approaching areas near Woodward, Iowa, moving towards Luther. Boone will be in the track of this. You need to seek shelter immediately. This is potentially a strong tornado right now in progress. This is a deep correlation coefficient drop that's developing. Yeah, that's deep. This is not good, guys. Again, if you know anybody near Minburn, if you know anybody near Woodward, please give them a call or text. Make sure they're doing all right. This is a potentially strong tornado in progress right now, moving north-northeast. This warning should get updated at any second, but this is again confirmed. This is no doubt. We have a confirmed tornado in progress, moving north-northeast, going towards Woodward and Luther, just northwest of Des Moines. Seek shelter immediately, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. Interior room of your home or building. This is a dangerous tornado that is in progress, approaching Woodward. We have, again, a deep correlation coefficient drop on this latest scan. That is indicating debris that is being lofted up into the atmosphere right now. That could be trees, it could be even homes or something along those lines that could be getting lofted up right now. Again, a dangerous storm right now in progress here near Minburn, Iowa, moving towards Woodward. It is almost completely rain wrapped, so it's going to be very hard to see. Do not try looking outside for this. And that, unfortunately, is still a tornado that is in progress right now. This is the latest correlation coefficient scan. That is, again, still a tornado that is in progress here, just northwest of Des Moines, Iowa. This is moving north relatively quickly. If you are in Woodward, you need to seek shelter immediately. This is a confirmed tornado. Again, radar confirmed. This is the latest from the National Weather Service. They've not put this to PDS, but they have put it as of now as a confirmed tornado. Again, if you are in Minburn, you need to seek shelter, and as well as the Butin area and Woodward, get a helmet, get the mattress off the bed, do what you gotta do here. This is a potentially strong tornado that's developing. This is again for southern Boone and northeastern Dallas counties in Iowa. So just northwest of Des Moines is where we do have a confirmed tornado in progress. That right there is your confirmed tornado. That is quickly going to be approaching Woodward, Butin, and Madrid. Madrid, that's what it is. Madrid. Again, this storm right now moving to the north-northeast. Once again, still radar confirmed. Not a PDS tornado, but it is obviously a dangerous tornado that is in progress. Moving north-northeast at about 50 miles per hour. So a very fast-moving storm. You need to get to your safe place immediately if you're in Woodward. That is a storm shelter, a basement, an interior room like a bathroom or a closet, away from windows immediately. It's a very dangerous storm that is in progress right now. That is, again, your debris that is being lifted up into the atmosphere. It's clear as day right now. This is a confirmed tornado. It's a little under a mile wide for how wide that debris area is on radar. This is going to be approaching 141 near Moran. Again, going towards Woodward. Hopefully it weakens before it gets there, but this is definitely still in progress. That is still debris being lifted up into the atmosphere. And this will be approaching Woodward and Butin over the next several minutes, just northwest of Des Moines, Iowa. New velocity scan should be coming in here in a second. This is the reflectivity, all right? So this gives you an idea that this is a completely rain-wrapped area of circulation. There is almost no way to see this. So don't try to get your phone out. Don't do it for TikTok. Don't do any of that stuff. Just go to your safe place, as there is a chance that this could produce a strong tornado as it gets closer to Woodward. It is still on the ground as we speak, so this is not lifted by any means. The rotation's still very tight here. Approaching Highway 141. That is still debris that is being lofted up into the atmosphere right now. And this will be approaching Woodward, Iowa over the next several minutes. And again, this is not PDS, but you still should be taking this as if it was a PDS tornado warning, meaning that you are going to your shelter spot. This is, again, a dangerous tornado that has developed in Iowa, moving north at 50 miles per hour. And again, this does include Dallas and Boone counties in Iowa. If you are in Woodward, if you know any friends or family in Woodward, please make sure that they're getting to their safe place, as this is a tornado that is in progress. Heavily rain-wrapped. There's no way you're going to be able to see this. Definitely a dangerous storm right now that's moving north. There's a quick little loop here. This may have produced a tornado even near Dallas Center, too. That's where it started. Never mind. That's when it started. Yeah, we basically, when the tornado warning got issued, it was pretty strong there near Dallas Center. And the tornado started down there near Dallas Center. And that's, again, the tornado right now that is still in progress. Approaching Gardiner, Highway 141 near Butin and Woodward. Moving north, and this will be approaching Highway 169, or Route 169, just south of the Ogun area, near Madrid, northwest of Des Moines. New radar scan should be coming in here in a second. We'll see what it looks like. Again, that is debris that is being lifted up into the atmosphere right now. And this should be over Butin and Woodward in the next couple of minutes. So you need to be in your safe place. Run, do not walk. You need to get there immediately if you're in those two spots, as there is, again, a tornado in progress here near Minburn, Iowa. This is definitely a damaging tornado that is in progress. This has been confirmed as a tornado. And there's a lot of rain falling here. So even if you don't see a tornado, that does not mean that there is not a tornado on the ground. It is completely rain wrapped. So if you are near Woodward, you need to, again, be in your safe place. Do not try looking for this. This is, once again, a tornado that is in progress and heavily rain wrapped. You're not going to be able to see it. You need to be staying in your safe place here. I believe they've just extended the tornado watch. It now includes Des Moines. So tornado watch has just been expanded. It now includes Des Moines, Boone, Marshalltown, Toledo, Newton, all here in central Iowa. So they've just expanded the tornado watch due to the threat that is beginning to develop here. Once again, that is your tornado that is right now on the ground approaching Woodward. And it'll probably be right up here near Highway 141 now. Yep, that's still a tornado. Looks a little bit weaker in terms of the correlation coefficient drop, but that is still an active tornado that is in progress near Highway 141, approaching Butin and Woodward. See what the velocities look like. Yeah, there's still definitely rotation here. And those are your winds going toward the radar. Those are the winds going away from the radar. And that right there would be your tornado that is approaching Woodward, Iowa. Is associated with a lot of rain around it. There's your hook as well. But again, a lot of rain around this, meaning that this is going to be very difficult to see. So don't try to look out your window for TikTok or whatever you're trying to do. Just go to your safe place, as there is still a tornado in progress and debris is still actively being lifted up into the atmosphere. Hopefully it's just something small like trees or, you know, maybe trampolines or something like that. But obviously the hope is that it's something small, but it definitely could be damaging. And even with that being said, those things can go flying around. They can go flying into your windows. And that's why you need to make sure that you are in the most interior room of your home or building, like a basement or a storm shelter or a bathroom or a closet. Away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. Let's see if we have any reports on Twitter right now. Yeah, if you're just tuning in, this is a confirmed tornado northwest of Des Moines. It's near Minburn, Iowa. We don't have any other updates, by the way, on the storm as of now. Like any reports like within this storm. But this has been confirmed, obviously, by radar here. And damage has impacted areas near Minburn, Iowa, and near Dallas Center. If you know any friends or family in Dallas Center or Minburn, Iowa, make sure that they're doing all right. This began back near Adele, for the record, and it's now going through areas near Woodward. That is where we still have an active tornado in progress approaching Highway 141 and the Butin area. And Madrid is also going to be in the track of this. Luther. Let me zoom out a little bit. So there's your tornado warning. Here's Des Moines for reference. It's not far from the storm. The storm is not going towards Des Moines, but just for perspective, it's not far from the metro area there of Des Moines, Iowa. That again is your tornado. They'll be moving through Woodward here in just a couple minutes, and Boone down the road will be in the track of this particular tornado. Hopefully it lifts before then, but it's definitely possible that we still have a tornado by that point with how ripe this environment is today for tornadoes. It would not shock me if this stays on the ground here for a little bit longer. I'm not seeing any reports on this storm as of right now. Hopefully everybody heard the alert. Hopefully everybody stayed in their safe place. And again, continue to stay in your safe place, as there is still a tornado that is on the ground approaching Highway 141 near Butin and Woodward. We'll have a new radar scan in a moment, which the tornado, if it's still on the ground, is now going to be located right on the west side of Woodward. We'll see if it's on the ground here first. And yeah, it's still on the ground, it looks like. Waiting for the new velocity scan. Looks like it's beginning to occlude. With that said, we do still have some debris being lifted up into the atmosphere. If there is still a tornado, it's going to be right here. Let's zoom in a little bit more. We can really zoom in here on Radar Omega and get some of the street views here. So this will be right over the 130th Street, north of Granger Drive. The west side here of Woodward would be the area that's going to be impacted by this. Looks like quite a bit of homes in the area, perhaps like a school or something like that right there near 130th Street. And this will be approaching also South Avenue. So if this tornado is still on the ground here, those are the areas that will be impacted within the next couple of minutes. So again, stay in your safe place, away from windows, lowest floor possible if you are in this particular area. And again, this does include Dallas and Boone counties of Iowa. And this goes all the way until 11:45 a.m. Central Time. This is a confirmed tornado by radar that is moving north at 50 miles per hour. There is a solid chance that this is an occluding tornado, but I do want to remind you that that there is still debris here that's being lifted up, or it's at least somewhere in the atmosphere. So debris could still fall to the ground as it makes its approach to Woodward. Looks like Madrid will probably be missed by the actual tornado part of this, but I would still stay in your safe place. There is definitely some large hail potential as well here that is going to be approaching the Madrid area near Woodward. But the tornado itself, again, would be located right in here. I would also be watching this little pocket up here near Route 18. Not really any imminent tornado risk, but we could definitely get maybe an isolated tornado out of that as it moves further north. I'm not seeing any other rotation down to the south. So this really is our main concern right now. And that would be where your tornado is still lifting up some sort of debris into the atmosphere. But it does look like it is on a weakening trend right now. It could recycle too, for the record. It could produce another tornado down the road. So we're not ruling that out as this continues to move to the north. And as a friendly reminder, the Storm Prediction Center has expanded the tornado watch, so it now does include this area of central Iowa. That also includes Des Moines and many other surrounding areas here. So this is still an ongoing tornado watch. The tornado watch goes until 6 p.m. for central Iowa. They've all been added to this tornado watch for the threat of a few tornadoes and a couple of strong tornadoes also being possible. Yes, this could recycle. Again, this is an environment today that is very ripe for tornadoes. And even though we're kind of on the early side of these storms where the tornado threat is definitely lower than what it will be this afternoon, I'm not ruling out that this storm does try to recycle as it makes its approach to Boone down the road. Boone would really be the next place in track of this after Woodward. So it's definitely possible that it recycles. I do think, though, the chances of this recycling are a bit lower overall, mainly due to the fact there is so much rain around this. It might struggle to really find an area here to recycle. And if there's still a tornado, it's going to be north of Woodward, and I'm not seeing anything on the correlation coefficient anymore. So it looks like the tornado has occluded for the time being. We'll wait until they officially update the warning here. But it looks like this warning, or at least this has occluded for the time being. So the tornado has likely lifted and weakened out. It kind of choked itself out here. That's likely what happened. We'll see what the next update shows here on the warning. But I'm guessing they're probably going to make it back to radar indicated. And again, this does include areas just to the west of Madrid, southwest of Luther. Just north of Woodward. We actually have a chaser here on Radar Omega near Woodward. Not sure if they're seeing anything there. Woodward? This is Woodward and not Woodward. See if we have any reports on this storm. Once again, if there is still a tornado in progress, it'll be located where the black circle is. It is, presumably at this point, it is lifted and included. Looked like the rotation kind of choked itself out there on radar. With that being said, I would not rule out that this does try to recycle as it makes its approach to Boone. This was, again, a confirmed tornado that occurred not too long ago near Woodward, apparently. Iowa, just north of Des Moines. Again, this storm moving north at 50 miles per hour. It is a very fast-moving storm, so it is entirely possible that we do see some sort of recycling here as this continues to move in that direction. So this would be our second confirmed tornado so far of the live stream. The first one we had was back over north of Kansas City, and this would be our second one that just happened. So we've already had 2 confirmed tornadoes now in this live stream. And this was undoubtedly a tornado that just happened. And once again, this will be making an approach to Boone over the next several minutes. Long-term track of this would include areas like Webster City and Fort Dodge. These storms are all, for the most part, moving north and north-northeast. Jewel Junction, Story City, also in the track of some of that thunderstorm activity. Again, if this tornado does continue or tries to recycle, Boone would really be the main location in the short-term track of this, in Boone County, Iowa, and again, just northwest of Des Moines. We should have another velocity scan in just a second. See if anything's developing again. Yeah, the day's just starting, guys. This is well done from over. We already have 2 tornadoes that have been confirmed so far, and it's very possible that today is. I mean, it's almost undoubtedly that today is going to be a tornado outbreak at this rate. All right, the warning has been downgraded. We are back down to a normal tornado warning for those just south of Boone, for Woodward, Madrid, Luther, near Ogden. This is still a tornado warning, but it is back down to radar indicated. The storm produced a tornadic debris signature, but the feature has dissipated. So that's what we've been looking at here over the last several minutes, is that correlation coefficient drop has kind of just gone away at this point. The rotation that was really strong at one point has weakened out. And again, this is very possibly, it's very possible that this was a strong tornado that happened near Minburn, excuse me. But that has completely weakened out at this point, and the tornado has lifted for the time being. But definitely some debris in the Minburn area. If you know any friends or family in Minburn, make sure that you give them a call or text and make sure that they're doing all right, as there was a tornado there. And that tornado was potentially on the stronger side of things. We don't have any information, though, on debris or anything like that when it comes to, like, human reports. All we know is that there was debris being lifted up into the atmosphere that started back near Minburn. Let's go to 14 frames, and let's go back a little bit. So this is where the tornado started for reference. I'm just going to kind of give you a perspective here. So that tornado started about a mile or 2 down to the southeast of Minburn. It may have impacted Dallas Center. It's uncertain. There was no CC drop there, but there may have been like some debris or maybe some high winds, something like that. We just don't know. The radar only does so much here, but the radar basically indicated that, hey, a tornado's on the ground. That started right between black corners in Minburn. This moved through areas just to the east of Minburn, and it eventually kind of occluded here as it made its approach to Woodward near Butin. But yeah, this was on the ground for probably a good 5 miles or so, maybe 4 or 5 miles. But that would have been your tornado right there. Let's go back to live radar. So once again, if there is still a tornado in progress, which as of now it has lifted, but if it does try to redevelop, it will be making a approach to Luther over the next several minutes. Again, this is a very heavily rain-wrapped area of rotation, so do not try looking outside for this. Just stay in your safe place in that basement or storm shelter. Whatever your tornado action plan was, you need to go to that place. Basement storm shelter preferably. A closet or a bathroom are also options. Away from windows, lowest floor possible. And a friendly reminder, if you do live in a mobile home today, you should make sure that you have an alternate plan ahead of time, because a mobile home is not safe in a event like this. It's just not. It is a very dangerous place to be today, as damaging winds and a few tornadoes will be likely, and you do not want to be in a mobile home. We already had reports of mobile homes being destroyed and flipped over, back over in western Missouri, just north of Kansas City, about an hour ago. And that area got hit by a tornado. So you don't want to be in that situation where you are in a tornado warning and all of a sudden you don't know what to do. Like, you need to find a place well ahead of time, a sturdy structure that is away from windows and on a low floor near the surface. That way you can stay safe today in case you do end up getting a tornado warning in your location. Mobile homes are extremely dangerous. And again, if you're just tuning in, this rotation has been weakening. The tornado was on the ground for about 5 or 10 minutes near Minburn, Iowa, just to the west-northwest and northwest of Des Moines. So this storm does still have a chance to produce a tornado, but it has weakened, at least for the time being. We will continue to watch this storm as it moves to the north towards Boone and Jordan and Gilbert, where a tornado does still remain a possibility here over the next several minutes. So continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible if you're in this tornado warning. That is the pink polygon. This warning does go for about 13 more minutes. So it's not too much longer, but it's long enough to the point where you should just stay in your safe place. Stay in that interior room of your home or building and away from windows as this storm does continue to move to the north. And if you are new to the channel, by the way, make sure to subscribe down below. It is completely free to do. Hit that red button and subscribe. We will be keeping you posted with the latest throughout most of the day today with severe weather and tornado outbreak coverage here across the Midwest. It is going to be a very active day. It is almost undoubtable at this point that we are going to see at least a few tornadoes today. So definitely make sure that you are prepared for today across the Midwest and have a tornado action plan in place, which means have a basically a place where you know where you're going to go. If there is a tornado warning or a tornado on the ground in your area, you know where you're going if there is a tornado warning in your location. New radar scan will be coming in here in a second. We'll see if there's any sort of re-strengthening here. At this time, it does look like it's kind of getting sandwiched here between a couple of different storms. So it might be weakening a little bit here briefly. We'll see if it tries to recycle down the road. And further down to the south, I'm not seeing any pockets of rotation at this time. We do have a storm over in Kirksville and La Plata and northern Missouri that's producing some damaging winds and hail. We have about a dozen damage reports near Kansas City from high winds and other features. We've had some broad rotation on this storm that's approaching Trenton, but I don't think it's going to be too significant. I think overall that rotation is still pretty weak. And we also have a severe thunderstorm warning in eastern Nebraska. So multiple different warnings still as of now. And our pocket of rotation is located near Route 26. It'll be making an approach to Luther and Boone up here in northern parts of Iowa over the next several minutes. And not confirmed as of now, but it was confirmed a little while ago. We'll see if it tries to recycle and produces another tornado, but at this time, it is again not on the ground at this exact time. And here's the latest radar scan. Let's check this out a little bit here. Yeah, so we do still have some broad rotation in northern Missouri, but it's still very broad. I don't think it's an imminent concern. The storm that's here, we do still have a little bit of rotation, but it's much weaker than before. And again, the only area of rotation that we have would be right here, just west of Luther. So I don't think that this is an imminent threat here for a tornado. It might try to recycle. I think we'll have to watch for that potential very closely. So if you are in Boone or Jordan, make sure that you're staying very vigilant here, as this storm will be approaching the city of Boone, Iowa, and will also be approaching Jordan over the next several minutes. Long-term track of this will go towards Stratford, Dayton, and Stanhope in northern parts of Iowa. No problem, Jeff. I appreciate you tuning in. Oh my god. The amount of people that say I look like Dwight from The Office is like astronomical nowadays. Somebody said I look like Peter from Family Guy, which is just that's the worst one. Let's see if we have any other reports on this tornado warning storm here. Yeah, we don't have any new reports as of right now in this storm. I do want to mention, if you're just tuning in, if you've not already heard yet, we do have a tornado watch that has been issued for much of central and southern Iowa and a large chunk of Missouri. This goes until 6 p.m. I do want to point out that this has expanded now, and we have another tornado warning.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
Went to the wrong screen. Another tornado warning just issued. This is a very small one in Nebraska. This is near Columbus. This is on the ground, apparently. This is a confirmed tornado, just moments ago by weather spotters.
This is an urgent alert. A tornado is on the ground. Seek shelter immediately.
So once again, another confirmed tornado here in Nebraska. This is the third of the day. If you are in this tornado warning, you need to seek shelter immediately away from windows, lowest floor possible. This is confirmed by weather spotters. We don't have anything on radar that we can see here that would point us in the direction of actually having a tornado here. I do want to point out that, again, we are far away from a radar site, but if we have a tornado, it would be located down in here, just to the west of Platte Center. And again, this is in Nebraska. So if you are in this tornado warning near the Tarnov area, just south of Cornlia and southwest of the Humphrey town, make sure that you're seeking shelter away from windows and on the lowest floor possible in an interior room of your home or building. The hope is that this is just some sort of small tornado, considering that this is a very weak velocity signature on radar. But this is again confirmed by weather spotters in the area. This is going to be approaching Cornley and Humphrey over the next several minutes. I'm going to look and see if we have any photos of this to at least get an idea of if this is something that's, dangerous, or if it's maybe some sort of like small tornado. I'm gonna kind of look into that a little bit here. But once again, this is a tornado that is in progress near Platte Center, just northwest of Columbus. The tornado warning does go for 20 minutes. This is again confirmed by weather spotters. So this is our third tornado of the live stream so far. We've had one in Missouri, we've had one in Nebraska now, and we also had the one over in Iowa. And again, the day is just getting started. It is going to be a very active day here across much of the Midwest, with multiple tornadoes being possible throughout the day today. But it's getting active quick. Again, this is another tornado that's confirmed near Platte Center, approaching Cornley and Tarnov. We should have a new radar scan in a moment. I am still watching the storm that's back over in Iowa as well. That is still tornado warned. The rotation is probably going to be weak enough for them to just cancel that tornado warning. They most likely won't issue a new one, but we'll wait and see. Once again, this is a new tornado on the ground in Tarnov, Nebraska. This, again, confirmed by weather spotters in the area. We don't have any photos or anything like that of this storm, but I will keep you posted if we end up getting anything on this. The hope is that this is just some sort of small tornado, but obviously you do want to make sure that you are staying in your safe place in case this is something a bit bigger. We don't have any sort of velocity signature on radar that indicates that this is on the ground. Maybe this might be the best you get, would be this right here, but we could probably go back a little bit and look too. Yeah, that right there would be your possible tornado that was just on the ground. And it may still be on the ground. So continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible. And this is near Platte Center right now, approaching Tarnov in Nebraska. Once again, moving to the north relatively slowly. It's not moving super quick. It's moving 15 miles per hour, so it's a very slow moving tornado. So luckily, this is not going to impact a ton of areas. It's, again, fairly rural, but this will again be approaching Cornley and Humphrey over the next several minutes. By the way, the population in this area is 299. So luckily, this is a very rural area of Nebraska. With that said, it obviously is still impacting 299 people. So if you know any of those people, make sure to give them a call or text and make sure that they are in their safe place. By the way, we do have 6 severe thunderstorm warnings now. We do have 2 tornado warnings. Once again, we do have a confirmed tornado right now in Nebraska. We have a tornado warning just northwest of Des Moines, Iowa. That tornado warning in Iowa, though, has very weak rotation at this point, and that warning will likely be canceled within the next few minutes. And we're not going to get a whole lot of radar evidence on this storm. This will be the only area of rotation that I can see from a distance. We are pretty far away from any radar sites. But if there is a tornado on the ground, it would be that right there. And that would be approaching Tarnov near Corn Lee, Nebraska. And again, this was confirmed by weather spotters, so this is not radar confirmed, but it is confirmed by weather spotters in the area. So it is very possible that at this point we've had some sort of at least brief tornado, maybe a small rope tornado, something along those lines, that's currently moving to the north. And make that 7 severe thunderstorm warnings. Warning count is going high real quickly right now. We got a lot of warnings already. Yeah, if we go a little bit higher up into the atmosphere, you can see that a little bit better here. But again, it's not much. Again, if we have a tornado here, my assumption is that it's probably on the weaker side of things. But you obviously want to make sure that you are staying in your safe place. If you're in Tarnov, if you're near Platte Center, you want to still stay in that shelter. That's a storm shelter or a basement. If not, a closet or bathroom, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. There is a potential for some hail here. They have warned the storm for quarter-sized hail. We do have a hail core there near Tarnov. That'll be approaching Corn Lee and Humphrey over the next several minutes. So definitely still a dangerous storm here that is moving to the north and approaching Humphrey and Corn Lee near Route 81. And it's making a beeline again going northbound. So continue to stay in your safe place. That is a shelter spot away from windows and on the lowest floor possible if you are included in this tornado warning. And again, we've already had 3 confirmed tornadoes today, and the day has just gotten started. It is well from over. So it is going to be a very active day here across the Midwest. And unfortunately, I do think we're going to get a lot more tornadoes than this. I would not be surprised if this goes full-blown tornado outbreak today in the Midwest, with at least a few tornadoes, perhaps even a couple of strong tornadoes this afternoon. It still heavily depends on if that convection ends up developing this afternoon back over in like southern Iowa and northern Missouri. If that convection develops behind the first round of storms, that's heavily contingent on that. As long as that happens, though, I don't see why this couldn't just be a tornado outbreak with the environment that we have. We are continuing to get a lot of damage reports in the Kansas City area, not because of a tornado, but because of just high winds that went through that area. We did have a tornado north of Kansas City, near Smithville, but that was not really in the Kansas City area where damaging winds happened. Once again, if you are tuning in for the first time in the last few minutes, again, we do have a tornado warning here. This is a confirmed tornado that is ongoing in Nebraska. This is still observed. This has actually now been confirmed now by emergency management and trained spotters. So this is still on the ground. That has not lifted. This is still a confirmed tornado. 12 miles to the northwest of Columbus in Nebraska. And it is still a confirmed tornado approaching Tarnov. It's 3 miles west of Platte Center. So once again, tornado still in progress here. Stay in your safe place, away from windows, lowest floor possible if you're in this tornado warning. The tornado warning that was back over in Iowa has now just expired, so we no longer have that tornado warning. But we obviously still have this tornado warning near Platte Center in Nebraska. And this is a confirmed tornado that was located 3 miles to the west of Platte Center, or 12 miles northwest of Columbus, Nebraska, moving north at 15 miles per hour. This tornado has been confirmed by emergency management, and trained spotters have confirmed this tornado. And that's all the details that we have right now. So presumably this tornado is going to be somewhere up in here now, approaching Tarnov. And Corn Lee and Humphrey will also be in the track of this in the next 15 to 20 minutes. Again, it's a very slow-moving tornado that's on the ground, but obviously those near Corn, Lee, and Humphrey will be next in line for this. So continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible. If you are up near Tarnov, Cornley, or Humphrey, you don't have to be in your safe place if you're in these two spots, but I would definitely stay vigilant, as you may be included in a new tornado warning down the road if this continues in the direction it's going right now. See any flying trampolines? Not yet. We haven't had any flying trampolines yet today. The flying trampoline meter is at a medium risk for today, so definitely gonna have some flying trampolines. You have a bunch of storms right now in Missouri producing golf ball sized hail and 70-mile-per-hour damaging winds. We do have a tornado possible storm now for those that are near Boone, Iowa. So that storm has now been downgraded to a normal severe storm, but that one is still producing a possible chance for a tornado down the road. By the way, for anybody that has super chatted or became a member or anything like that, I'll get to your messages here soon, once I have a chance. We do have some storms again developing right now in Missouri. We are watching those closely. Those are entering a more favorable environment right now as they move closer to the Iowa and Missouri border. So we are definitely going to be watching those very closely. Once again, if you're just tuning in, we do still have a confirmed tornado in progress near Tarnov, Nebraska. This storm is racing to the north at 15 miles per hour. It's a very slow-moving storm. It's going at snail's pace right now. With that said, again, there is still a tornado on the ground confirmed by emergency management in addition to weather spotters. So it's been confirmed by 2 different sources at this point. So continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible if you're in this area. And also, the Storm Prediction Center has just made a new outlook here that a tornado watch may be needed in the next 1 to 2 hours in western Iowa and eastern Nebraska. And again, this is where our tornado is right now. It's going to be northwest of Columbus. It would be that storm right there. But they may issue another tornado watch in eastern Nebraska and western Iowa. And we've already had 3 confirmed tornadoes today, and it's very possible that more end up happening here in the next few hours. I think this will be a tornado outbreak. With how things have gone already this morning, it's not even noontime yet. We're not even close to the peak of the tornado risk. I don't see why this would not be a tornado outbreak at this rate. Unfortunately, I do think this is on track to be a tornado outbreak. And even though we're only a few hours in, it's obviously pretty early. But, I mean, we've already had 3 confirmed tornadoes. Possibly more, we don't really know. But we at least know of 3 that have happened so far. This is one of them. We had one in Iowa, northwest of Des Moines, not too long ago on radar. And then we also had one back north of Kansas City when we first went live. So I do think we're on pace here for a tornado outbreak today across the Midwest. Now, I don't think this is going to be like a widespread tornado event, all right? I don't think this is that sort of case, right? Like something that we had back in last March, for example, back in March of 2023. But with that being said, you definitely want to make sure that you have a tornado action plan in place today and have multiple ways to receive alerts if you're anywhere in the tornado risk outlined area. And if you don't know if you are, check the Storm Prediction Center's website and look and see where you are on that map and figure out if you're in that tornado risk. And if you are, you definitely want to make sure that you have a tornado action plan in place. That means you know where you're going in case there is a tornado warning in your location. And that's what you need to make sure that you're doing. Make sure that you're in that position where you know what you're doing. These are the tornado reports near Platte Center. One of these by emergency management. Tornado reported 3 miles southwest of Platte Center in Nebraska. And then another one about 5 minutes after that saying emergency manager reporting that the tornado is roping out and touching back down. Okay, so interesting. That's again the latest report as of 11:39, so 11 minutes ago. So as of 11 minutes ago, this was still on the ground. Now, is it still on the ground right now? Well, we really don't have a great view of this on radar, but if it is still on the ground, it is going to be approaching Humphrey. We are very far away from any radar sites. We are looking probably around 8 to 10,000, or yeah, around 8,000 to maybe 10,000 feet up into the atmosphere. Which means that we are essentially looking into the clouds that are kind of like above where there would be a tornado. So we don't have a great view of this on radar. With that said, we have had reports of this being on the ground, and if there's still a tornado, it's probably going through the Tarnov area right now, and it will eventually be approaching Humphrey near Route 81 here in central eastern parts of Nebraska. So continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, lowest floor possible. It is still a confirmed tornado warning at this time. They've not issued a new tornado warning yet. We'll see if they issue a new one. And if they do issue a new one, obviously this storm will probably keep going at least for a little bit longer towards Madison, and then, or sorry, towards Humphrey. And then Madison, you should stay weather aware because this storm will be on track for your location in a little while. So you'll be in the track of this here pretty soon. From Drew Scott from North Platte Center. This is from where that tornado warning is. Not seeing anything here that would represent a tornado, obviously, but at least gives you an idea of this storm. Looks like a low-top supercell. But that's the storm that's over here right now near Tarnov. Again, right now moving north. We should have a new Storm Prediction Center outlook for today in a moment. It should be out here in a moment. If there's any updates. Oh, it's already out. Never mind. There's no updates to the latest Storm Prediction Center outlook. So they haven't changed anything for today's outlook, which rightfully so. I don't think there's really any changes that would be needed. Yeah, that's still the same outlook as before. So we still have that enhanced risk for tornadoes across areas in Iowa, in addition to the very large hail threat as well. All right, this tornado warning is still ongoing for 7 more minutes. Again, it is still a confirmed tornado at this time. It is very possible that it's not on the ground anymore. We have not had any recent updates on this warning, but if it is still on the ground, Humphrey will be in the track of this here in just a few minutes, which Humphrey is definitely a little bit larger in population than these areas here near Platte Center and Tarnov. But I would still stay in your safe place if you're in Tarnov right now. And if you're in Humphrey, I would stay very vigilant just in case there is a tornado warning here in just a moment. Still possible that we get one. And once again, this storm right now moving north at about 15 miles per hour. Not a very fast moving storm. We are now up to 9 severe thunderstorm warnings. So the amount of severe thunderstorm warnings that we are getting right now is increasing very fast. We had about like 1 or 2 about half an hour ago. So a lot of severe storms right now. The majority of those right now are in Missouri. We do have some storms that are over in northeast Missouri that I would say don't really have an imminent tornado risk, but they are producing some significant hail. Those are mostly elevated storms, and I will go to those here in a few minutes once we get the chance to do so. If you do have any photos or videos that you want to send in to us, tweet me on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX on Twitter. Our Twitter link is in the description below. Our Facebook, our Discord server, all that is in the description below. We have a photo of the tornado that I might be able to show in a second. Give me a moment. I have retweeted a photo of the actual tornado just a moment ago, but I'll show it once I'm able to. Once again, if you are just tuning in, this is still a confirmed tornado that is going to be moving towards Humphrey. It may have already lifted. Once again, there's no updates to the warning. This last time this was updated was about 10 or 12 minutes ago. If there is still a tornado again, it will be approaching Humphrey. They may allow this warning to expire. We'll figure that out here in just a couple of minutes. It only goes for 4 more minutes, but if so, then this will probably be let to expire. The rotation, again, has not been very apparent on radar at this point. Maybe that right there. I mean, that's a little bit stronger. That's near Humphrey. That also could be hail, just for the record. That right there looks a little more peculiar. That's going to be located near Humphrey right now. Gotham City. Good old Gotham City. If you were watching yesterday's live stream, we were looking for Gotham City in the United States. Nowhere to be found. Fun fact. Weather radios are out? Are they? I don't think they are. Maybe they are in like a specific location, but I don't think they are out nationwide. Otherwise, I would have heard. Might be like a localized outage. This tornado may still be on the ground, by the way, just for the record. If it is still on the ground, it is approaching Humphrey. We do have photos of the tornado on our Twitter page at MaxVelocityWX. If you want to check it out, it is a it's definitely a pretty solid looking tornado if it's still on the ground. Once again, this right now moving north at about 15 miles per hour. It will be approaching Creston and Humphrey, Nebraska over the next few minutes. So if this is still on the ground, it'll be approaching those areas in just a few minutes. Yeah, I'll get to some of these notifications in a little, hopefully after this tornado warning ends. I think it'll be ending here in a minute. The rotation is kind of outside of this warning box anyway. We'll see if they issue a new warning here. We'll have to wait and see. Again, this will be again approaching Humphrey over the next few minutes if it is still on the ground. Only got 2 more minutes on the warning, so we'll have to wait and see. If not, then we'll be back to 8 severe thunderstorm warnings that have all been issued in the last like 30 minutes. We have a lot of new warnings at this point. So I'll kind of update you guys on that as well. Without a doubt, though, this is still producing some hail. Essentially some $1.25 to $1/2 sized hail. This is a report from earlier, and we also have a new tornado warning.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
Alright, new tornado warning for Humphrey. This is associated with the storm that is in Nebraska. So they have gone ahead and issued a new tornado warning. That includes Tarnov, Humphrey, just south of Madison, Nebraska. So if you are included in this severe tornado warning, make sure that you are seeking shelter immediately, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. And once again, this will be moving north at about 15 miles per hour. It is a very, very, very slow-moving storm that is still producing a potential for a tornado. It is not on the ground as of right now. It's back down to radar indicated, but it could drop a tornado again at any time. We have some photos on our Twitter page at MaxVelocityWX of the tornado that did happen here. But once again, this is still a potential storm that could produce a tornado over the next few minutes. So continue to stay in your safe place, in an interior room of your home or building, and away from windows. Again, this storm moving right now to the north. It'll be approaching areas near Madison, Nebraska over the next several minutes. Again, rotation gonna be located now near Humphrey. or near Tarnova. It's actually going to be down here. That's where your rotation will be located. That's all hail up in there. So if there's a tornado, it would be more down here to the south, approaching Humphrey. That's about 3 miles south of Humphrey right now. That's about 3 miles or so. Right there. So yeah, that would be where your tornado is. If there is a tornado, it's going to be on the southern side of the storm approaching Humphrey. With, once again, a potential for some quarter-sized hail as well. And we still have a chance that this does produce a tornado. So continue to stay in your safe place if you are here near Humphrey, Nebraska. This will be going towards Madison, Nebraska as well down the road. So we're going to continue to watch this very closely. Yes, for those that are wondering, I do have a new haircut. Thank you. I know. A lot of people keep asking. Yes, I do have a new haircut. I have not changed persons at this point. Not changed into a completely different person. Just a fresh cut of hair. All right, well, we're in between radar scans. Let me get to a couple of these alerts here. Thank you, Grants, for the $5 super chat. Peoria, Illinois tonight. The main concern there will be large hail. And that's really for anywhere in Illinois. Damaging winds still a possibility, and perhaps an isolated tornado. Also, thank you, Jordan, for the $10 super chat. In Urbana, Iowa. Never know. The greatest tornado risk is going to be in southeast Iowa. And I do think we're going to get probably a couple of strong tornadoes later today. With how today's already gone, we've already had 3 confirmed tornadoes. And I don't see a reason why we wouldn't have a threat for a tornado outbreak today. With how things have already gone. And we are not even close to the peak of this threat. Like, we are still far from it. Tornado Watch has just expanded. It now includes Waterloo, Waverly, Mason City in Iowa. So this Tornado Watch has now expanded even further to the north. We don't really have much rotation in these storms in Iowa right now. And the storms that are back over in northeast Missouri are primarily hail producers. We have a radar hole here, unfortunately. There is a tornado possible label now on the storm that's going to be approaching Memphis and Wauconda. But these are all mostly hail producers. We do have a low tornado risk with these storms that are a bit more elevated. And those will be moving into southeast Iowa here relatively soon. And we do have a very significant lightning storm over here, back over in northern Missouri. But unfortunately, there is a massive radar hole right along the Missouri and Iowa border. So it's going to make it very difficult to see storms here today on radar. So storm chasers will hopefully be able to kind of fill that gap a little bit later today with the storms that'll be ongoing there. We are back up to 8 severe thunderstorm warnings. We do have 1 tornado warning, and that is the one here that is currently in progress near Humphrey. That's the radar indicated tornado warning, so not confirmed as of right now, but it does have a chance to produce a tornado as it does continue to move to the north. And we also have a new tornado watch that was just issued for Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri. So a brand new tornado watch here that goes until 8 p.m. tonight. This includes, once again, those in eastern Iowa, western Illinois, and northeast Missouri. So if you are in this tornado watch, you need to make sure that you are definitely staying weather aware, as there is going to be a chance here for a few tornadoes. And significant hail is likely as well, and scattered damaging wind gusts will be possible as high as 70 miles per hour. So another tornado watch here issued, and that is going to go until, again, 8 o'clock tonight. Also, I do believe Connor Croft will be storm chasing with us here soon. Just a heads up there. You should be live with us here in a little bit. That is yet again another tornado watch that has been issued. And once again, this is radar indicated rotation in Nebraska. We will continue to keep a close eye on the storm. I do want to get to a couple more messages here. Thank you, Hypo, for becoming a moderate velocity member. I do appreciate that, and welcome to the Velocities. Thank you, Jeff, for the $2 super chat. No problem, and stay safe in Waterloo. Thank you, Carrie, for becoming a minimum velocity member. Thank you, Adeline, for the $4.99. I'm in Channahon, Illinois. Do you think I'm seeing bad weather today? Let me look where that is. That's kind of southwest of Chicago. I think the main concern will be damaging winds and isolated large hail in that area. I think the tornado risk overall is going to be on the lower side of things. I think it's going to be much lower for that tornado risk the closer you get to Chicago today. Thank you, Lemon, for the $4.99. No problem at all. Sedalia, Missouri. I think the main concern in Missouri is large to very large hail. I do think if you're near the Missouri and Iowa border, I think that's where the greatest tornado risk is going to be today. So if you're in that particular area right near the border, definitely make sure that you're staying very vigilant, as there's going to be an elevated tornado risk there today. Stay safe, aviation. Thank you, Fire, for the $2 super chat. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Sean, for becoming a moderate velocity member. Welcome to the Velocities. Thank you, Rose, for the $10 super chat. Do you think we'll see any long-tracked tornadoes today? I do think it's a possibility, especially with that second round of discrete cells, supercells, I should say, later today. I do think that threat is going to be greater as we go into the mid to late afternoon hours, where we could see a couple of strong tornadoes, and those could also be long-tracked. So it's definitely possible today. That'll be more associated, though, with that round of storms that we end up seeing later today that'll develop back over in eastern Iowa and western Illinois. Thank you, Kermit, for the $4.99. Is there a severe thunderstorm warning in Iowa? There is a severe thunderstorm warning in Iowa. Yeah, 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds, mostly the concern there. Any storms in Iowa will mainly be hail and wind producers, but there is still that chance for a couple of tornadoes, especially in southeast Iowa, where there is a strong, or more elevated, I should say, strong tornado risk. What are my thoughts on Burlington, Iowa? I think the greatest concern anywhere back over in southeast Iowa, and I'm talking like anywhere in here, I really do think the highest tornado risk will be right in this area. That could lead to areas near Burlington too, but I would be most concerned about large hail and the tornado risk. Definitely make sure that you have multiple ways to receive alerts if you're near Burlington, right along the Iowa and Illinois border. This is definitely where the maximum tornado risk I think will be, though, today. And even outside of that, though, we have a huge area of tornado watches now for a large chunk of Illinois, Iowa, Missouri, and even southwest Wisconsin. So I definitely think it's a possibility that we do end up getting, again, several tornadoes today, and we very easily could have a tornado outbreak. We've already had 3 tornadoes confirmed in this live stream, and it's very possible that we get more of those later today. Thank you, Guy, for the $9.99. Oh, you're good, no problem. Glad your power came back. And thank you, Bridget, as well, for the $5 super chat. Thank you, Aviation, for the $4.99. Yep, new tornado watch. And that's going to include those in eastern Iowa and western Illinois. Thank you, Isabel, for the $4.99 as well. Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, if you're in the tornado watch, what that means is that conditions are favorable for tornadoes. It doesn't necessarily mean you're about to see a tornado. It just means that there is a potential for tornadoes this afternoon. So it's not something that you need to seek shelter for, but it is something that you should at least be staying weather aware about this afternoon, where there is going to be a chance for at least a few tornadoes. We've already had 3 today. Again, they've been kind of all over the place. We had 1 in Nebraska, 1 in Iowa, and as well as 1 in western Missouri. But it's definitely possible that we get, more of that action as we go throughout the daytime today, especially as we go into the mid to late afternoon. I do think the peak of the tornado risk will be between 3 and 7. So that's definitely going to be the most concerning time. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Again, we'll be keeping you posted with the latest today, with tornado coverage throughout most of the day today. I do want to remind you, at about 2 p.m., we are going, so this is about 2 hours from now. We are probably, we're going to have to end the live stream no matter what around 2. We're going to stay live for as long as possible till then. We will go live again at 4 or 4:30, somewhere in that time frame, for another live coverage. So we'll basically be live here for the next 2 hours, and then we'll go live again going into the late afternoon and evening. I have an exam right in between 2:30 to 4. Try my best at least to stay live all the way up until that point, and then we'll go live again after. So just keep that in mind. We'll be live at least all the way through then, and then we'll be live again after that. And we'll have Connor Croft storm chasing with us for the majority of today, so we'll have him here soon. Thank you, Bayou, for becoming a minimum velocity member. I appreciate that, and welcome to the Velocities. We got 2 trains right now on the right side of your screen, back over in Illinois and Iowa. I do think this tornado warning, by the way, near Humphrey, I think the rotation is much weaker. I'm not seeing anything on radar that would make me think that we're about to see a tornado here. We did have, obviously, a couple of reports now of a confirmed tornado, but I do think the rotation's weakening overall. This will continue to move towards Madison and Route 81 going towards Woodland Park in Stanton, but it is a very slow-moving storm, and I honestly think that the rotation is weakened out. I think this warning might be just canceled at some point here soon, but we'll see. I will be covering the Missouri and Iowa storms here in a few minutes, as long as the storm continues to stay pretty weak. The storm in this rotation has been quite weak at this point. We have another photo of... Yeah, we have another photo of the tornado that happened here near Columbus, Nebraska a little while ago. Again, those photos will be on our Twitter page at MaxVelocityWX. We've had a couple of different photos now of that tornado. The storm has been impressive, to say the least, with it producing a couple of different tornadoes. We just lost our live cam. Let me quickly refresh it here. There we go. All right, I'm not really seeing a whole lot with this storm anymore. The rotation at this point has been kind of on a weakening trend. Again, we'll continue to keep a close eye on it, but for the time being, I'm going to quickly update you on the storms in Iowa and Missouri. So I do think these are going to be the ones that become more concerning over the next couple of hours. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning for a very large area north of Des Moines. This is between Des Moines and Clarion, near Webster City and Fort Dodge. And this area, we are still watching for an isolated tornado risk across this entire area here. That'll be anywhere from about Route 17 back in between that to Interstate 35. So a pretty large area here where there is at least still some weak rotation associated with this line of storms that's developed. Maybe an isolated tornado, but the main concern at this point is still damaging winds with that activity. The storms that are developing, though, back down over in southern Iowa and northern Missouri are more concerning, in my opinion. I do think these ones are going to be the ones that end up producing some significant hail here throughout the afternoon. I do think we're going to have an elevated tornado risk, though, with these storms that develop later today, but I'm not ruling out an isolated tornado or two with this activity. Most of these storms that are ongoing right now in northeast Missouri and southeast Iowa are elevated, which essentially means is that they are much higher. They're basically starting much higher up into the atmosphere, which is going to lead to a more hail-driven risk comparably to a tornado risk. So these storms right now are not nearly as concerning. Now, the storm activity that's ongoing back over in northern Missouri and all the way back into parts of like Grand Valley near Kansas City is still overall strong to relatively marginally severe. We don't have any crazy rotation on these storms, but we are going to still be watching for at least a low tornado risk as these approach Iowa and go into a more favorable environment. So I do think this activity, as it moves closer to southern Iowa, will become a little bit more vigilant, and we might end up getting an isolated tornado out of this activity as it does continue to move to the north. We already had a tornado out of this particular storm earlier near Smithville in Missouri. There's definitely a chance that we get something like that again here soon. We have a lot of hail reports near Kirksville, like a ton of them. We have like 5 different hail reports. We have one of being golf ball size. We have one near ping pong ball size hail. So there's definitely been plenty of hail here near Kirksville over the last little while. And I am not ruling out that those storms do continue to produce some significant hail as they move to the north and east. But the tornado warning that is in Nebraska right now, the rotation is much weaker than before. I do think this warning will probably be canceled, but we'll see. Yeah, the exam that I have today, I don't have to study for. So this is not a studying type of exam. It's just, I'm actually studying right now, believe it or not. Today, my exam today is literally a broadcast meteorology exam. So I will be doing basically this, but on a green screen. That's the only difference. There's not really a whole lot I can practice for. It's pretty much what I'm already doing. By the way, I do appreciate everybody mentioning me in various reports on Twitter. If you ever do see any photos or videos that you want me to see on Twitter, or any reports that you want me to relay, feel free to at me on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX, and I'll try to relay those on our Twitter page and also on our live stream. TV weatherman, that's pretty much what it is. Graham, I wish it was that easy. I've already skipped a couple of his classes this semester just to do live streams, so I don't want to, be that guy. Connor's live? All right, let me pull him up. Starting soon. We'll pull him up once he's actually live. Yeah, we will have Connor Croft storm chasing with us throughout the majority of today. And again, that'll be anywhere from now all the way up until tonight. And so today's severe weather event, again, will be interesting. And with the plan for today, again, is to be live until 2. And then we'll go live again at 4 until it's no longer needed. I do think what we'll do is we'll probably be live all the way up until like 9 or 10 through like the Chicago storms. So I don't know when it'll exactly start around 4. It might be 4, it might be 4:30, it might be 5. I'm not sure when we're starting our second live stream today. So just click the bell icon down below so you're notified when we go live later today again. Again, this live stream is still going to be going until 2. That's Central Time, by the way, so that's 2 hours from now. And then, yeah, I don't know exactly how I'll do the live stream later. You not submit your channel as an exam? I wish it was like that, but not really. I've submitted this for a participation, quote unquote, but that's about it. All right, tornado warning has now been canceled. We are now back down to normal tornado possible labels on a couple of storms. We do still have a tornado possible label north of Des Moines. Overall, I'm not seeing a whole lot of rotation there. That's imminent for a tornado, but we will continue to watch that activity closely in case we do end up getting like a brief tornado. And then we still have some rotation that's located in northeast Missouri that is going to be on the storm that is located near Memphis. But overall, this is also not rotating that much. And I think the reason why they put a tornado possible on this is because there was a little bit of rotation. But the problem here is that we have a massive radar hole. We have no radar sites in this area. So it is very difficult to see these storms from a distance. So there could technically still be a tornado between now and the time these get a little bit closer to like Davenport, for example, and whatnot. Give me Courage JD vibes? How in the world do I give you Courage JD vibes? Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate it. A degree is a good backup plan, especially if I'm going into the TV sector. All right, so we don't have any tornado warnings, but we do obviously have a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings. And again, we'll continue to keep posted with the latest on any tornado warnings that do end up getting issued. We have another severe thunderstorm warning now for those near Corydon and Allerton in southern Iowa. This is now our 7th severe thunderstorm warning here in the last little while. We have 7 active warnings that are all severe thunderstorms. This storm will be moving northeast. Got a couple of storm chasers on radar Omega in the track of this. And once again, if you do need a weather app for today, you can download Radar Omega on iOS and Android. That is on Apple and your Android devices. You can download Radar Omega with the top link in the description below. That is the weather app we've been using this entire live stream. They have a ton of features like live radar, watches and warnings. You can get notified with a warning in your area at any time for any town and any city. In addition to that, you can track out storms with their handy dandy tracking tool, and you can track out storms coming toward your location. And in addition to that, they have tons of live cams. They have storm chasers, like they have 4 right now just in this area, that are live inside the app with their location being tracked, so you know where they are and what storm they're on that they are currently tracking. Again, you can download Radar Omega with the top link in the description below on iOS and Android. It is only $8.99, but it is 100% worth it. It is a fantastic weather app. We have another video of the tornado that happened in Nebraska on Twitter. Again, that's at MaxVelocityWX if you want to check out those photos and videos. We have a lot of different photos that have been being posted on Twitter. All the photos are being retweeted on Twitter. At Max Velocity WX. No problem, Zombie. No problem at all. Yeah, Radar Omega is 100% worth the $9. It's so worth it. 100% worth it. Even with the base features. The subscriptions give you more things like, you know, computer model data and stuff like that, satellite, but I mean, even the base version of it is fantastic. The extra features, though, do make it a lot better. What's expected for tomorrow? We'll probably talk about that more tonight once we are kind of done with severe weather. When we're gonna have another live stream later, so we'll probably talk about that a little bit more in that second live stream. And we'll talk about what's expected tomorrow, because tomorrow is also going to be pretty interesting. They're going to have a new storm prediction center outlook in a second, but right now they do have a slight risk across areas like Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, small sliver there of Kentucky and Illinois. Main concern tomorrow is damaging winds, isolated hail, and perhaps a couple of tornadoes. They do have a 5% tornado risk tomorrow near Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana. And again, we'll be talking about that more in detail, probably in our second live stream later. If there's any big updates on the outlook, we'll obviously address those as they do come in. Thank you, Jamie, for the $4.99 super chat. I do appreciate that. Thank you. Also, thank you, Zaid, for the $4.99. I work in Madison, Wisconsin. I leave work at 4:15, and it's an hour for a 20-minute drive. Any info so I can prepare? We can do a little quick timing guide here on the HRRR model. We'll jump to like 4 o'clock here. So this is 4 o'clock, most likely around 4 to 5. It's mostly going to be some showers and ordinary thunderstorms. I don't think we'll have a whole lot of severe weather there. The main round of severe weather will be these 2 rounds of storms. The first one, which is that first round of storms, and then we'll have another one right behind that. This is the more significant round of severe weather that is likely. And that's going to begin near Des Moines, back into northern Missouri, and that is where we're expecting a more significant round of robust supercells that produce a more elevated and significant tornado risk. Once we get closer to 5 to 6, though, that is when storms will be approaching areas near Madison. So I think the severe weather and any significant severe weather will probably hold off until about 5 or 6 tonight, if you're in Wisconsin. If you're back over in Illinois, that first round of storms will move through with large hail, damaging winds, and a couple of tornadoes. And then this will be, again, your more robust round of storms that will be ongoing in Iowa, back into Missouri, and eventually into western Illinois. And this is by 7. So definitely some pretty intense supercells expected this evening. By 8 o'clock, most of those cells will probably start to weaken since daylight heating will end. And then by 9 to 10 o'clock, I think a lot of the severe weather will be winding down across the Chicago suburbs and much of Illinois and as well as Wisconsin. So that's the timing as of right now. Which Columbus are we talking about, BK? There's a lot of Columbuses. Another tornado watch issued? I don't think we have any new ones. Maybe they did issue one, though. Let me look. Oh, yeah, they did. Another tornado watch. This one's for Iowa and Nebraska. So here's your brand new tornado watch. We don't yet have any sort of, we don't have any, warnings really in this area right now, other than near Fort Dodge. But this is the area that we do have, again, another chance for a couple of tornadoes. This is not really where the main concern for tornadoes will be today, but it is an area that we'll be watching for at least some sort of threat here for a couple of tornadoes. All right, we do have Connor Croft storm chasing alongside with us. He'll be on the right side of your screen. He is currently near Corydon, Iowa. So that's the southern storm right now that's ongoing. So he'll be with us here throughout the rest of today. And that's this storm right here. That's approaching Allenton and Corydon. Not really a whole lot of rotation on this one. Maybe some broad rotation. been broad rotation for a while, if we even have that. Again, this is the one that did produce the tornado earlier, so definitely have to watch and see if we end up getting a tornado out of this storm down the road as it moves into a more favorable environment here in southern Iowa. I do think that tornado threat is going to start to increase probably in the next couple of hours. That first round of storms is all this activity here. Our second round of storms will develop right in here around 3 p.m. So that is when that threat will begin to ramp up, sometime between 2 and 4, but probably around 3 p.m. And that is when we'll have the chance for a few tornadoes, and strong tornadoes will become a concern once we get closer to 3 to 4 p.m. as those storms ramp up. I do think the peak of the tornado risk, once again, will be between 3 and 7. So that's when I think the greatest threat for tornadoes will exist. Will probably be between 3 and 7 p.m. I don't expect a watch in like the Chicago area until at least like 5 o'clock. And even then, I don't know if we'll get a watch. If we do get a watch, it'll probably be a severe thunderstorm watch, but maybe a small tornado watch. We'll see. But I do think overall the main concern there is probably going to be off to the west of Chicago. And here's that new tornado watch. There you go. Once again, is in northwest Iowa and northeast Nebraska. And that goes until 7 p.m. tonight. So all the tornado watches will end at or before 8 p.m. That's the timing at this point for the watches and such. Let's go full cam to Connor real quick. I don't know if he's doing anything. We'll go full cam to him real quick, though. We won't go full cam to him. Full cam was not ready. One moment, please. Thank you, Jackster, for the 199.
Go ahead.
There we go.
This morning at like 6 a.m.
Full cam is now ready. So Connor's on the storm right now near Allerton. It's not tornado warned, but it is a severe storm, producing some hail and damaging winds.
Posting like tornado intercept pictures. I'm like, what's going on?
I know there's like power lines down
St. Louis probably will not be under a tornado watch. They could always extend it if some sort of threat develops to your west and eventually moves toward you, but
I was like, just looked at velocity and these like spin ups were just happening.
I don't expect a tornado watch there.
A mile away from it. And I was like looking and I saw like the most faint power flash and that was literally it. It was
Dang.
all over him.
Dude, I had to leave my sleeping spot, so that's because I didn't want to get run over by that thing.
Well, so like I drove all the way to like.
See at the top of your screen, those clouds are moving fast. And this is an environment today that the low-level jet is very strong. And so storm motion is going to be very fast. With that being said, storm motion is going right around. It's actually pretty far up there right now. Our storm motion right now for most of these storms has been right around 50 miles per hour. So pretty fast. We had some storms in Texas yesterday that were going way faster, though. We'll continue to go back and forth between Connor here. And again, he'll be on the right side of your screen most of the time when I remember to put it on. There you go. Do still have some kinks to work out with the overall new overlays that we have, but they're getting there. Again, we'll have dual cameras on the right side of your screen now. All right, so that's the storm that we're going to be watching closely as it moves into Iowa. Once again, a lot of tornado watches. Almost the entire state of Iowa is under a tornado watch. We have a tornado watch in western Illinois. We have a tornado watch in northern Missouri. We have one in northeast Nebraska. Again, a lot of tornado watches right now, and we have a tornado warning.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
So a brand new tornado warning was just issued over in Nebraska. This is pretty close to where the new tornado watch is. And I believe this is the storm that produced a tornado earlier. This is radar indicated rotation. Weather spotters just reported a funnel cloud. This is pretty much the same storm that produced a tornado earlier. This will be moving towards Creston, near Humphrey. So once again, if you are in this tornado warning, make sure that you're seeking shelter immediately, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. Again, this is a brand new tornado warning for those near Humphrey and Creston, just south of Madison. So this will be moving north very slowly at about 15 miles per hour. Again, a reported funnel cloud has been spotted on the storm. And again, if you are in this tornado warning, make sure that you're seeking shelter immediately, away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building, away from windows. We've had a lot of photos of tornadoes and funnel clouds and stuff like that with this particular storm over in Nebraska. We've had a bunch of them. And it's definitely possible that we get more of those photos here soon. But as I just mentioned, again, a funnel cloud has been reported here in Nebraska. I'm gonna have to see if we have any funnel cloud photos. I don't see any photos quite yet, but I'll keep you posted. Once again, there is definitely a potential here, though, for a tornado. Once again, this is moving north-northeast near Humphrey and Creston. It'll be moving towards Madison, Nebraska. So, once again, potential for a tornado does exist here, as the storm very slowly moves off to the north at about 15 miles per hour. Columbus, Ohio. The main concern there will be on, really, tomorrow, like, evening, late afternoon and evening. The main concern is going to be damaging winds. So it's a relatively low risk overall. I wouldn't be super concerned. Well, we might be alive again tomorrow afternoon, so. But it'll be mainly between like 4 and 8. Give or take an hour or two on that. But that's the main time frame. Once again, this is a tornado warning if you're near Humphrey, Nebraska. This, again, has been reported as a funnel cloud in the area, about 3 miles to the southeast of Humphrey. The presumption is, if we do 3 miles, it's probably in this area here, near Humphrey and Creston. And that'll be quickly approaching Madison, or not really quickly, but slowly, I should say, approaching Madison within the next 15 to 20 minutes. But that would be your area of rotation. Near Creston and Humphrey, moving north-northeast. So continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible if you're in this tornado warning. Thank you, Douglas. Appreciate it. Yes, the pictures are all on my Twitter page at MaxVelocityWX. And you can check that out on Twitter. We do have a new update for the threat of severe weather tomorrow. No major changes by the looks of it. They do have a slight risk going further east into Ohio now for tomorrow. So it does look likely that we'll be live again tomorrow for some severe weather coverage. So obviously make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. And click the bell icon down below so you're notified when we go live. But it looks like, again, another live stream tomorrow afternoon. Look at this, by the way. Connor is not on the tornado warning, but this is a view of the storm right now that's in Iowa.
Storm back off to the right there.
See your large storm over there that's producing hail and damaging winds. There's still a chance for an isolated tornado there. That is a storm that is forming. And once again, we'll keep Connor at the bottom right of your screen. And again, he's in southern Iowa. Once again, we still have our tornado warning in Nebraska that is still ongoing. No new updates in the last couple of minutes, but there has been a report of a funnel cloud near Humphrey, Nebraska. So a bit more of a populated area. Still a chance that we do get a tornado here, so continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. Interior room of your home or building, and away from windows if you are still in this tornado warning. Yeah, this storm right now is moving north at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. It's a very slow-moving storm. And there is a chance, again, that we do end up getting a tornado here. It already has a history of producing a tornado. And it's very possible that we get another tornado with this storm as it moves to the north, going towards Madison, Nebraska, and Stanton will be in the track of this down the road. And here's that risk for severe weather tomorrow. So they have expanded the slight risk into eastern Ohio. The tornado risk has not really changed at all here. We do still have that 5% tornado risk for Detroit, Fort Wayne, near Cleveland, Ohio, so it's a little bit further east. So there is at least a slightly more elevated tornado risk there. We also have a marginal threat now for those near Kansas City, Springfield, mainly for a hail threat. So that's the latest for tomorrow. And again, we'll talk more about tomorrow later in the stream. That is a impressive looking view of the storm here. Once again, that's back over in Iowa. Storm once again is producing some hail and damaging winds right now. Not producing a imminent tornado risk, but there has been some rotation on that storm at times. Pretty impressive though. All right, we got a photo of the current. Let's
a little bowl back there.
Let's go back to here. We have a photo of that rope funnel that's developing on this storm. So there is still a funnel cloud on the storm. So again, stay in your safe place if you're near Humphrey right now, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. I'll show you the photo of the funnel here in a second. Once again, we do have a funnel that has been reported with this storm moments ago. Thank you, Lane, for the $5 super chat. Do you think anything's going to hit O'Hare? I think overall the main concern there will be damaging winds. I don't expect much else beyond that. So damaging winds, really the main concern. That includes the Chicago suburbs. Really anywhere in the Chicago area, that would be the main concern. Again, maybe some sort of isolated tornado risk. Maybe some isolated large hail. But I think the threat really drops off the closer you get to the Great Lakes. Especially with how cold the Great Lakes are. I do think that's going to play a bit of a factor. And also the daylight heating will end, so. Once again, we do have a funnel cloud with this storm. This would be, again, where that funnel cloud or potential tornado would be. This will be approaching areas near Creston and just south of Madison. So once again, if you are in this tornado warning, continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. This is moving north, going to be heading towards Route 32, just south or just west of Clarkson, south of Madison, going towards Stanton. Woodland Park in the Norfolk area will be in the track of this down the road in eastern Nebraska. But once again, that's where that would be located. It's north of Columbus, pretty far northwest there of Omaha. But again, this is really our main concern right now. We do have 2 other severe thunderstorm warnings for the record. But really right now, the severe weather that's happening in Iowa and as well as back over in Missouri is not super concerning. We'll continue to keep a close eye on it. I do think, again, that threat of severe weather will increase in those 2 states as we go later into the afternoon today. Yeah, the funnel cloud's getting larger here. So once again, we do have a funnel cloud right now on this storm that is near Humphrey. We do still have an ongoing funnel cloud here. So once again, this is your rotation. It's going to be back up near Creston. Wind's going toward the radar, wind's going away from the radar. It's still a broad area of circulation near the surface, but obviously this could very easily produce a tornado at any time in Nebraska as the storm does continue to move to the north-northeast. So again, if you are in this tornado warning, continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible if you are currently near Creston, as there is still a chance again that we get a tornado here at any time. They'll probably issue a new tornado warning near Madison in a few minutes, is my guess. That again would be your rotation. This will be moving towards near Madison. It'll probably just stay east of Madison, Nebraska. This will be moving towards Route 32, and eventually going towards Stanton. So those will be the next areas in the track of this storm. If I get permission to show the funnel, I will. Otherwise, they are all retweeted on our Twitter page at MaxVelocityWX. I do need permission to show a lot of the photos that are on Twitter. I think we have some older stuff that I possibly could show, though. This is from earlier in Humphrey. Sent in by Justin. This is a funnel from earlier. Not the same situation that we're looking at now, but that right there would have been at least some sort of rope funnel, and that's what we're pretty much dealing with right now. A little bit clearer to see now because it's not really, there's not really any rain in the area, but yeah, this particular storm once again does have a funnel cloud associated with it. It has not dropped to the ground yet, but this will be approaching areas just north of Creston, very rural parts here of Nebraska, just south of Stanton. We'll be in track of this as well. So, once again, continue to stay in your safe place away from windows, lowest floor possible, if you are in this tornado warning, as this does move to the north-northeast at about 15 miles per hour. Like, giving you 100 town names to pronounce is not happening, no. If they gave me 100 town names to pronounce, that would be very interesting. But, no, I mean, usually town pronunciations and stuff, they aren't something that typically are like tested on in like school or something like that, but like at a news station you need to know how to pronounce names. But since we're nationwide weather, it's not really that much of a requirement per se, so it's not nearly as much of a deal, or at least not as big of a deal. Also, just retweeted photos of damage photos from earlier in Missouri this morning from a tornado. Some homes damaged there. We were live at the beginning when that first tornado happened in Missouri, north of Kansas City. And that tornado produced some damage to mobile homes. Even some home roofing got ripped off. So that tornado was definitely not really that weak. It definitely produced a little bit of damage. So the National Weather Service will go survey that here pretty soon. And they'll probably end up at least putting out some sort of survey on that either later today or maybe even tomorrow. The last couple of scans here are showing weaker rotation on radar. We do have, at least in the last 5 minutes, still some photographic evidence that there is a funnel cloud with this particular storm. It's very possible that this is a weakening area of rotation. So we'll see. In But in the last few minutes, there is definitely still some rotation. The funnel is currently about a quarter of the way to the ground, maybe even halfway down to the ground. So it is still there. We'll see if it continues. The radar doesn't show any rotation really, but again, we are still pretty far away from the closest radar site. Does anybody else like the smell of rain? The smell of rain is fantastic. The best part of any storm is the rain. This is Connor Croft, by the way, on the storm in Iowa. Look at that. Very dark skies there. He is in a severe storm near Corydon, Iowa. A pretty impressive view of the storm there. Trampoline warning. There's always flying trampoline warnings. Always, always, always. That is...
Yeah.
It's Highway 16, if I'm not mistaken.
There.
Looks like Highway 16.
What's going on here?
Today is tossing trampolines on Tacos Tuesday. Don't forget. We're probably going to be coming out with a trampoline warning t-shirt at some point in the near future, by the way. So, fun fact. Something in the future that we've been thinking about. There's that storm right there on the right side of your, or middle of your screen now. Once again, this is a severe storm in Iowa that's producing quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. Not a significant storm, but it is one that we'll watch for in case we end up getting something down the road with that one. In case it does try to produce a isolated tornado. It's entirely possible. Again, Connor will be at the bottom right of your screen there. We still have this tornado warning for 14 more minutes in Nebraska. They may cancel this. We will see. This time it looks like it is definitely something that may be canceled. Rotation's been weakening out quite a bit on radar. But we do have some at least videographic evidence and photographic evidence that there has at least been a funnel cloud in approximately the last 10 minutes. And as of about a couple minutes ago, the funnel has mostly dissipated. According to somebody that's in the area. So it is likely that this is a weakening area of rotation. On radar, it looks much weaker. So not nearly as concerning as before. But we'll continue to keep a close eye on it in case it does do anything funky. Go back to Connor Croft here on the storm that is in Iowa. Has a pretty good view of the storm.
There's a road right back here. Still over there, still over there. We got a funnel cloud. Funnel on the left, funnel on the left. There it is. There it is, trying to come down. Funnel on the left.
So apparently there's a funnel cloud here trying to come down here in Iowa. I'm not seeing a whole lot of rotation on radar, but I wouldn't rule it out.
May have misjudged my roads, I'm not sure. Not sure how to stay with this one.
This is in southern Iowa near Corydon. Yeah, if you're just tuning in, Connor Croft is on a
funnel's right there.
Little funnel somewhere.
What's your funnel?
In there.
It's more prominent a second ago. Funnel on this big clear slot.
I'm not seeing the funnel cloud. It might have dissipated.
It's like the one area that doesn't have great roads out here.
Again, this is near Millerton and Corydon in southern Iowa. Might have just been like some sort of like swirling eddy or something like that. Sometimes it happens.
And there's a big lake, really. Yeah, this is gonna be a challenge to keep up with this one. Our roads and terrain just took an absolute crap on us right here in this area.
Kansas City's done with severe weather, Zach. Any storms that are happening there are just strong. They're not severe.
I'm also a little further away. Wow.
I'm not expecting anything that significant there. Gusty winds, small hail, really the main concern. Thank you, Shane, for the $5 super chat. I'm heading to work in Rock Island, and my family is here. We live in a mobile home in Alpha, Illinois. How are we looking for a tornado?
Noticed that before I went south.
I think the tornado risk overall in...
This thing was gonna produce.
Well, let me figure out Alpha's first. I'm guessing that's near Chicago, but let me double check. It might not be.
Again, I don't see the funnel as of now.
Oh, that's actually not, so good thing I didn't mention it. In that particular area, there is a bit more of a significant tornado risk. The best chance for that is between 3 and about 8 in your area. So you definitely want to make sure that you have an alternate plan to go to a sturdy structure. Because there is going to be a chance for an isolated strong tornado or two, meaning that since you are in a mobile home, that's not a safe place during any sort of damaging wind or tornado events. So have an alternate plan well ahead of time. If you need a weather app that's going to keep you ahead of the storms, check out Radar Omega. It is the top link in the description below on iOS and Android. You can track out storms, and you can see storms on radar that will also help you to be able to see when storms are arriving to your location. So I highly recommend getting that in case you need something to get you alerts, and also something that'll keep you well ahead of the storms in in that particular area. But I would definitely have an alternate plan well ahead of time.
Oh wait, it might be trying again. Hold on.
Like, I'm talking like now. You should be finding wherever that sturdy structure is. Maybe it's a, you know, maybe it's a gas station down the road. Maybe it's a Wendy's. I don't know. So, just some sort of sturdy building. Just go there when there's, you know, a warning nearby and ride it out there for a little while. Something that's, anything's better than a mobile home, really. Even a ditch is better than a mobile home. Mobile homes are very dangerous.
Yeah, it might be trying again.
Friendly reminder, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. And we'll be doing severe weather coverage. This live stream, once again, will be going until about 2, maybe 2:30, and then we'll go live again a little after 4. Once again, I do have an exam at about 2:30, so we'll have to cut it short around then. But we still got a little over an hour, so we'll be here for at least another hour. Again, Connor right now in a storm near Corydon, Iowa, that did have a little funnel cloud. We'll stay with him here at least for a couple more minutes. There are no tornado warnings. The one in Nebraska did get canceled, as expected. And the storms that are right now in Missouri and Iowa right now are all mainly large hail producers. We have 5 warnings. All of them are 60-mile-per-hour damaging windstorms with quarter-sized hail at this time.
You gotta go right here. I'll get camera number 2 back up for you guys. Hopefully it's not crooked. Look like it would.
All right, we don't have any tornado warnings right now, and I just spilled water everywhere. Fantastic.
Normal.
1 second. Good times.
Yeah, okay, I think it's good again.
All right, we're good. It's only on my mouse pad. It's all right.
Man, I wish I were up there.
What elevation do pilots need to reach to avoid turbulence? It heavily depends on what the environment is. It depends on where the strongest winds are. So typically, pilots, like of commercial airplanes and stuff, they're typically around 30 to 40,000 feet in the atmosphere.
Cooking faster than I can.
So usually when you're that high up into the atmosphere, there's a jet stream around 300 millibars or so, or 200 millibars. And the jet stream, if it's strong enough, that's going to create turbulence. Now, it's a very complex question because it really depends on a lot of different things. I can show you. Let's go back to here. All right, it's a complex question. I'm going to pull up a couple of things here. So I think I can pull it up here on Radar Omega. Let me do that first. The HRRR I don't think has winds at... Yeah, they don't have winds at the jet stream. European model should... Nope. GFS, I'm guessing, is the only one on here. GFS should show us jet stream winds. Nope. Never mind. All right, let me pull it up on here. We'll probably go back to Connor here in a second too. But this is a jet stream map, and so this is right now. All right, so this is with this particular disturbance. And so if a commercial pilot is flying in this direction, let's say, they are going to intercept a lot of turbulence here if they are like 30,000 plus feet up in the atmosphere. This cannot really be avoided most of the time. It depends on the winds lower in the atmosphere. So like this is closer to the surface. They're also very strong. So the jet stream overall is where the winds are going to still be strong, and throughout the entire atmosphere, usually with disturbances like this, the turbulence will be strong no matter what. And so in this case, that's what's happening here. So if a pilot is going from south to north through this intersection, there is going to be turbulence. If they are flying from New Mexico to Chicago, they're going to have a fantastic tailwind. Like they're going to be able to get to that location much faster. So it heavily depends on the environment. Now, if you're, again, going across like this here from like, Kansas to North Dakota, once again, very strong turbulence due to that very strong jet stream. So hopefully that answers your question. It's complex, though. It heavily depends on what the environment is. Thank you, Isabel, for the 199. How is Aledo, Illinois looking? Really anywhere in Illinois, you still got a couple hours at least until we have any severe weather. The Aledo area is near Davenport, so your main concern again is the strong tornado risk. That'll really develop closer to like 3 to 7. So your main time frame for any significant tornado threat will be closer to 3 to 7 o'clock this evening and this afternoon. Thank you, Bailey, for the $5 super chat. How much time do I have before Elkhart, Iowa gets hit? Where is Elkhart? Let me look this up. That's Elkhart, Indiana. Elkhart, Iowa. All right, Elkhart, Iowa. You're clearing out right now. So here's the problem that we have. We have this first round of storms that's moving through eastern Iowa now and central Iowa. We have a much more destabilizing environment right now that's developing in western and central Iowa, and that's going to eventually lead to more storms. Your next threat of storms will start around 2 and run all the way through approximately 6 o'clock or so. So it's mainly 2 to 6 if you're in central Iowa. Again, elevated tornado risk is expected to get going in a couple of hours, if not sooner, but 2 to 6 is the main time frame. I think storms will probably hold off until 3. These storms are just leaving, so I think the atmosphere won't destabilize entirely and allow for more storms, probably up until at least about 3 o'clock or so, but I wouldn't rule out a storm as early as 2. Thank you, Hart, for the generous $9.99 super chat. Live in southern or southwestern Wisconsin, and we have a 2 out of 5 for severe weather tonight. It'll be worst really about 5:30 to like 8:30. That's the worst time frame. So that's when you have to watch for damaging winds, isolated large hail, and perhaps even a isolated tornado. All right, let's go back to Connor. And I am quickly going to take a bathroom break. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Stay tuned. We'll keep it on Connor. And I think we'll keep it on him.
Right in front of us again.
As long as it doesn't lose signal.
Broad left to right.
All right, we'll be back in like 60 seconds. 60 seconds.
I'm
We'll be
gonna
back.
stay on these for now. Some broad left to right.
All right, we are back. Connor right now is driving near a storm near Corydon, Iowa. We already have damage, or damage survey that is complete in, I believe this is the Missouri one, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, this is the Missouri one.
Road.
Wow, that was quick. This is the Missouri tornado
I think so.
from earlier. Literally, this was like when we were first live. This was 3 hours ago, not even. 2 injuries were reported. Or wait, maybe not. Maybe this isn't it. This is near Carbondale. Where's Carbondale at? Does anybody know what exactly this tornado is here? I'm not sure what day this is. I was about to say, there's no way they already surveyed that, but which tornado is this? Does anybody know? This one was... Where's Shawnee County? This one was, again, just surveyed, though. They just released a few minutes ago. EF1 tornado, 100-mile-per-hour winds. It was on the ground for 10 miles. That's a long tornado. It was on the ground for 20 minutes. This was at 6 a.m., so I'm guessing this was either northern Kansas or maybe southern Nebraska. That's not Carbondale, Illinois, I don't think. No, that's Kansas. That would be this. It was near Topeka, near this Carbondale. So we had a confirmed tornado here this morning. It was on the ground for 20 minutes. That's a long time. 20 minutes it was on the ground for. And that was, again, an EF1 tornado on the ground for 20 minutes. It's pretty crazy. So that's our first storm survey of the day, from my knowledge. And that was, again, an EF1 tornado. Looks like the warning here is going to be let to expire, or they're going to cancel it near the Corydon area. This storm not nearly as intense as before. Again, Connor Croft is keeping up with it, but he might reposition further to the east. Looks like we still have some broad rotation there near Clarendon, or Sheridan, but doesn't look to be super duper significant right now. That'll be approaching Knoxville and Oskaloosa down the road in southern parts of Iowa. Thank you, Mark, for the $5 super chat. Been watching since this morning. Currently a college student in Missouri. Anything I should be watching out for in Lynn, Missouri? Lynn, Wisconsin. If you're in Lynn, Missouri, near Jefferson City, I'd be mostly watching for a large hail threat to develop around about 2 to 5 o'clock. Maybe as late as 6. You also got a storm there right now, so the main concern there will be large hail. Maybe an isolated tornado risk, but I think the main concern will be large hail today. I'm not super concerned really about a significant tornado risk that far down to the south. There's the storm that is Connor's on right now. It's the one that's moving away from him, I believe. Waukesha, Wisconsin. I think if you get anything in Waukesha, it's going to be like after 6 or 7 p.m. And the main concern would be isolated. Like, I'm talking very isolated threat of damaging winds. And maybe isolated large hail. I'm not expecting a tornado threat, but it would be between 6 and 11 would be your time frame. It's a relatively low risk right along the Great Lakes tonight. And back to no signal. Let's go back to here. My overlay at the bottom right is glitched out. Waukesha? It was close enough. Pronunciations are always exciting. Do have a new severe thunderstorm warning they just issued on the storm that is southeast of Des Moines. This is a tornado possible storm. So once again, brand new warning here in Iowa. So there is at least some broad rotation on this storm that we were just talking about a moment ago. And this has the chance to produce an isolated tornado down the road. So once again, brand new severe thunderstorm warning here with a tornado possible label. Again, what that means is that there's some broad rotation, and we might get a tornado down the road. The rotation on radar, let's zoom into this a little bit. It's definitely there. It's not strong enough to the point where we would get a tornado warning, but the velocities are definitely strong enough here that we could get an isolated tornado. This is the winds going toward the radar, going away from the radar. That right there is your rotation. It's overall not super strong. It's near Chariton, Iowa, which once again could produce an isolated tornado down the road as it continues to move to the northeast. So continue to be staying very vigilant if you are in this area that is, again, south of Des Moines, near the Chariton area, moving northeast. I don't expect much for Indiana. I think the Indiana threat is going to stay relatively low today. The main concern, isolated damaging winds, and the main concern there will not happen until later. And I mean, I'm talking like, after sunset tonight would be when you have any shot really of any sort of severe weather threat, in my opinion. I'm not expecting a whole lot there. So I definitely stay weather aware. Obviously have multiple ways to receive alerts, but again, I think the severe weather risk there is definitely on the lower side of things. Thank you, Shook. Appreciate it. And Austin, thank you. I live in Chicago. Should my family be worried about tornado? I'm not expecting much of a tornado risk in the Chicago area. I think it's going to be relatively low if you're in Chicago. I would honestly, I'm the most concerned right now about southeast Iowa and western Illinois. And even northeast Missouri. Those are really the three areas that I'm the most concerned about for today. I do think the greatest tornado risk today, like if we're talking about a very specific area for the greatest tornado risk, I think it's going to be right in here, which is where 4 storm chasers are right now in Radar Omega. They're all in the same area pretty much, which is where I think the greatest tornado risk will evolve later today. Now, it all depends on if the atmosphere destabilizes enough and we eventually see that recovering air mass that'll lead to a potential for at least a few tornadoes this afternoon. Storms will develop here probably around 2 to 4 o'clock, and that is where we're watching for that elevated threat for severe weather, and that again would be across central and southern Iowa back into northern Missouri right around 2 to 4. That is where I would expect a strong tornado threat to evolve. Now, that being said, if you do need a weather app for today or any severe weather event, I highly recommend Radar Omega. And again, you can download Radar Omega on your iOS and Android device with the top link in the description below and get tons of features. That includes the live cameras and even the live storm chasers that are in the app. You can, again, get all those features on the iOS and Android device with the top link in the description below. They also have live radar feed, like velocities. They have the high-res reflectivity, correlation coefficient. Basically, any tool that you need is in the app. You also can get 3D radar, which is pretty cool. This is the 3D view right now of the storms across Iowa. So again, this is pretty cool to look at, but these are all the storms right now that are ongoing across Iowa, and even the hailstorms that are ongoing near Quincy right now, which we do have a storm there producing quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. In addition to that, there's also computer model data, satellite imagery, and a ton more that you can get with a subscription in their app. You can download it with the top link in the description below on iOS and Android. And again, I do appreciate Radar Omega for sponsoring today's live stream. It's a fantastic weather app, and I know a lot of you guys have it. And yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Gibbs, for the $5 super chat. We decided to go to Cedar Rapids, and we got a decent amount of rain, but it is already getting dark. Yeah, Cedar Rapids, you got your first round of storms approaching, and then that second round of storms will be arriving more later in the afternoon today. The main concern, again, being the threat of large hail initially, and then a more elevated tornado risk later today. Thank you, Cage, for the $4.99. I'm in east side of Iowa City. Winds have been significant for a while. What should I be watching out for? I would honestly be the most concerned anywhere near Iowa City for the hail threat for the next few hours. The wind is more just a prerequisite to this low pressure system. We do have some strong contours, some very tight gradients that are in the atmosphere, which would indicate higher wind speeds near the surface. That's not necessarily basically involved with the we have a tornado warning. Let's go to that first. The main concern though being
a new tornado warning has been issued.
Large hail, and then the threat for a isolated tornado or two will exist later today, and that'll happen more as we get closer to 3 to 6 p.m. That'll be the main time frame then. We have another tornado warning on the storm activity that is near Humphrey. These are, again, very slow-moving storms that we have. But we do have a brand new tornado warning here. So, again, if you are in this tornado warning, stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible. This is, again, radar-indicated rotation. And check this out. The rotation itself is going to be located right to the southeast of Lay, southwest of Clarkson. So this is once again a brand new tornado warning. Seek shelter immediately, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible if you are in this tornado warning. Once again, this is just to the south of Clarkson, moving northeast in Nebraska. So again, another tornado warning here in Nebraska. Stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible. How's it going, Blue Star? Welcome back. What about Dallas? Dallas is not seeing this today. There was originally a threat, but they've removed that threat of severe weather there in Dallas. And I'm not expecting anything personally there. Not seeing a correlation coefficient drop here, but we definitely do have some stronger rotation that's developing here near Clarkson, Nebraska. I definitely would not be surprised if we end up getting a tornado here. Rotation itself is not that weak, honestly. It's definitely strong enough to produce a tornado. We are back up to 8 severe thunderstorm warnings, and again, we have our 1 tornado warning here near Clarkson. This is once again moving northeast at about 15 miles per hour, so it is a relatively slow-moving storm. But this could produce a tornado at any time. And Connor Croft again, bottom right of your screen. He'll be storm chasing with us today. He is back over near, I believe, Promise City, Iowa is the name of it. He's going to be storm chasing there with the more significant tornado risk that's expected in Iowa and Missouri and Western Illinois today. Colfax, Iowa, near Des Moines. Your main concern, again, is going to be this afternoon, not now, but it's going to be later today. The main concern will be between about 2:30 and 6 o'clock or so, with some of those discrete cells that'll try to fire off. The main concern will be large to very large hail, and also the potential for an isolated tornado or two. That's when you need to stay very vigilant and stay very weather aware, as there will be a threat for a couple of strong tornadoes today. And again, if you're just tuning in, this is a tornado warning near Clarkson, Nebraska. And not confirmed as of now, but the rotation itself is definitely on the stronger side of things. We actually might have even a small CC drop here. It's not lined up with this particular area of rotation. We'll see what the next radar scan looks like. But it does look like it's definitely possible that we have a tornado in progress. There is a possibility, again, that we do have a tornado on the ground near Clarkson, Nebraska. It's not confirmed yet. We don't have any CC confirmation, but it's not far from it. Yeah, nothing definitive yet on the CC. So we don't have anything definitive on the correlation coefficient, which basically indicates any debris that might be being lifted up into the atmosphere. I'm not seeing anything definitive here. Well, again, we're not far from it. We definitely have a chance here that we get an isolated tornado out of this. This area has already been prone to a couple of different tornadoes. So I'm not ruling out that we get another one here as this activity does continue to unravel and as the storm does continue to move to the northeast. I would honestly say the main concern in Wisconsin is going to be probably the hail threat. Wind is still a threat. It's just not nearly as concerning. So I would expect more of a hail-driven risk for southwest Wisconsin. And maybe even an isolated tornado. Can't rule it out. Thank you again for your $4.99 super chat. What does CC stand for? It does not stand for cheddar cheese, I can tell you that. It stands for the correlation coefficient. Cheddar cheese. That's definitely one for Wisconsin, that's for sure. If you're in Wisconsin, the CC might stand for that, but let's say if you're anywhere else, it definitely doesn't. A cheese curd drop. It could stand for cheese curds. Cheese curd sized hail. The old cheese curds for the CC. This indicates the amount of cheese curds that are in the atmosphere. This would be so weird. Creamed corn. There you go. Yeah, once again, we do have some strong rotation near Clarkson. Again, no definitive correlation coefficient drop yet, or cheese curd drop. We don't have anything definitive here. All joking aside, again, this is going to be approaching Clarkson in eastern Nebraska. I'm not seeing anything definitive on the CC that would indicate a tornado here, but I'm not ruling out that we do get a tornado. Again, we've already had a couple of tornadoes with this particular area of storms today, and it's very possible that we get another one here. There have been reports of a funnel cloud in the area, so That is something to keep in mind. Weather spotters and emergency management reported 2 funnel clouds near Leh. So not 1, but 2. I'm guessing this area of rotation was the first one, and then this one's the one that's still going. But 2 different areas of rotation there that still have the chance to produce a tornado. So again, continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible if you are included in this tornado warning. Hey, Brian, for the $10 super chat. I'm in the western suburbs of Chicago and Naperville. We don't have a basement, kind of worried about tonight. I don't think the tornado risk is going to be that significant near Chicago. I think an isolated tornado or 2 are possible, but I still think the risk overall should be on the lower side of things. So I'm not super concerned at this point about the Chicago area. Now, I still would stay weather aware, obviously. Have a tornado action plan in place, but I do think overall the severe weather threat should be a little bit lower in the Chicago suburbs. No reason to panic, just stay weather aware. You can have that tornado action plan in place just in case, but I think the greatest threat will be to your west. And since you're closer to the Great Lakes, I do think that cold air near the lakes will play a factor into the storms today. You work at Culver's? That's ironic. That is very ironic. That you work at Culver's. You can give us some cheese curds. Again, we really only have one area of rotation now near Clarkson in Nebraska with this storm. We had another one further north that's kind of weakened out. There have been 2 funnel clouds reported with this storm. And once again, this is tracking to the northeast very slowly at about 15 miles per hour. It's not very fast. So once again, moving northeast, going to be approaching Route 32 and 15. Or Highway 32 and 15. And moving to the northeast. Continuing to stay in your safe place if you are in Leh or Clarkson in Nebraska. Got another photo of the tornado in it's from Elaine Church on Facebook. That's a tornado from earlier in Nebraska. Look at that thing. That's a beast. That was the tornado earlier. That was at 12:35 near Humphrey. So another pretty solid view there of that tornado from earlier. I've had a lot of different photos, and if you want to see all the photos, they're on our Twitter page at MaxVelocityWX. Yeah, there was a couple big tornadoes there in Nebraska earlier today. That's one of them. Definitely not like a tiny little rope. They were definitely more organized. I don't know what watch they're going to issue for Chicago. I think it'll depend more on what's happening at that point. If there's a lot of tornado warnings in Western Illinois, they may issue a tornado watch. I'm leaning though toward more of the more toward a severe thunderstorm watch if they do issue a watch for the Chicago area. I think that would be what they're probably going to end up issuing that area under. Tornado watch I don't think will be issued, but you never know. It's always a possibility. By the way, the rotation is a little bit weaker here over the last few minutes. Again, this will be approaching Clarkson and Howells, moving towards Highway 32 and 15. Monetary and West Point will be in the track of this as well down the road. So continue to stay in your safe place if you're in the pink polygon, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible. It's Lee? Oh, it's Lee and not Leh. It's Lee, Nebraska. Gotcha. You have some intensifying rotation right now near Knoxville, Iowa. Yeah, the rotation's a little bit stronger near Knoxville. Again, this is not tornado warned, but I don't know if I said Nebraska, I meant Iowa. Southeast of Des Moines, though, in Iowa, near Knoxville. Do have some stronger rotation that is trying to develop right now. The storm is still labeled as a tornado possible, so it's not a tornado warning, but there is definitely a possibility that if that rotation intensifies, we could get a tornado. So we'll continue to monitor that storm very closely and keep a close eye on it. The storms that are back over near West Point as well, near Fort Madison, that is also a tornado possible storm. We do have a live cam, I believe, in Fort Madison. Let me put it here. Let me double check. I don't know if we do. Yeah, we have a Fort Madison live cam, which is in the right side of your screen there. So we do have Fort Madison here, which will be in the track of the storm here relatively soon. So again, if you're in Fort Madison, stay weather aware. $half sized hail, 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds are the main concern, but there is still a chance for a tornado. We do have some reports from the tornado that we covered earlier near Dallas Center. Near Dallas Center, there was a damage to an outbuilding, time estimated by radar. And then the other confirmed tornado report here is that an outbuilding sheet metal was scattered in fields near Minburn, Iowa. So that particular storm from earlier seemingly produced some damage.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
We have another tornado warning that has just been issued on the storm up here in Nebraska. So we now have 2 tornado warnings on this. This is for Clarkson. They've issued a new tornado warning. I'm not entirely sure why, honestly. I don't know if this is a mistake because it's the same area and this warning doesn't expire for 24 minutes. But nonetheless, this is a tornado warning for those in Colfax County and Stanton County in northeastern Nebraska. This goes until 2 p.m. This storm is capable of producing a tornado. It's near Clarkson right now, moving northeast at 20 miles per hour. Weather spotters have reported a funnel cloud in the area, so there is still a chance for a tornado here. Again, broad area of circulation near Clarkson, Nebraska, and this will be moving to the northeast at 20 miles per hour. So again, continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible if you are in this tornado warning. Again, this will be moving into areas near Monterey, Beamer, West Point down the road, here in northeastern parts of Nebraska. Flying trampolines. We've yet to have any reports of flying trampolines yet, but I bet there will be some later. Especially when these storms do start to go closer to more populated areas across Iowa and such. But overall, the flying trampoline meter is still on a medium risk. It's not higher than that because of the fact that the damaging wind risk is not even enhanced. It's just a slight risk for damaging winds. Sun is out in Des Moines. Yep, sounds about right. That means that there's destabilization beginning, and that'll lead to a tornado risk later today. Just heard that the Nebraska storm has 3 funnel clouds. Really? 3? That's actually kind of crazy. I wouldn't be surprised by that. One of them producing a tornado wouldn't be, crazy here. But, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. We've already had multiple funnel clouds with this. We had 2 different ones reported about 20 minutes ago. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if we had more than that. It's just a very favorable environment here, and it's a very slow-moving storm. It's not like it's a rapidly evolving storm here that's continuing to cycle or something like that, and moving very fast at 60 miles per hour. It's very slow. And in this sort of environment in the Great Plains, we do often see, especially in the late spring and summer, we do often see these storms rotate and sometimes produce multiple funnel clouds. Thank you, Pew, for the 199. Yeah, there are 2 tornado warnings right now in this storm. The other one just got condensed, so it still includes the same area. Again, for Clarkson, Nebraska. So again, if you are in this tornado warning, continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible. And again, an interior room of your home or building. If you are in this tornado warning. And they just canceled, I think, one of them. Or maybe not. Nope, never mind. They just condensed it further, so it's now 2 warnings overlapping each other. It's I think that might have been a mistake, honestly, but I could be wrong. A funnel cloud was reported 1 mile southeast of Clarkson, so that's moments ago. A funnel cloud has been reported 1 mile southeast of Clarkson, and then the more recent tornado warning also says the same thing. So there is 1 funnel cloud right now that's been reported just a mile to the southeast of Clarkson. And again, this is in Nebraska. This could produce a tornado at any time. So continue to stay in your shelter spot, storm shelter, basement, interior room of your home or building, and again, away from windows, bathroom, closet. Any of those places are good places to be right now during this tornado warning. Again, this storm will continue to move northeast over the next several minutes. Rotation's not super impressive on radar, but again, it has produced a couple of tornadoes already earlier when the rotation wasn't even that strong on radar. So overall, definitely still a chance this could produce a tornado, even if the velocities on radar don't agree with that. Again, we are still looking into a storm that's probably at least 60 or 70 miles away from the radar site, so we're not really going to be able to see anything in particular inside this storm from that far away, other than something that might be 10,000 feet up into the atmosphere, which is, obviously pretty high up, so just keep that in mind. AP for the 199 is Urban, Illinois in danger. I think Urban overall, or Urbana, any of those areas, again, the main concern is large hail, some damaging winds, maybe an isolated tornado. No reason to panic today, just make sure that you have multiple ways to receive alerts and have a tornado action plan in place, just in case you do end up seeing a tornado warning in your general area. Look at this, by the way. This is Connor on the storm in Iowa. Wow. Look at that.
Back there.
There's a flat cloud base. This is also looking to his right. On the storm that is currently a tornado possible label in Iowa. It's near Promise City, Iowa. At the bottom right of your screen is the tornado warning in Nebraska near Clarkson. Going through pretty rural areas, so we'll continue to keep you posted as that storm evolves. But yeah, this is a pretty solid view here of the cloud base back over in, again, in Iowa. Really impressive video here. And again, this is live, so yeah, pretty cool stuff here. Do you want to call your home insurance? I don't blame you. Hopefully you don't see any damage today. Hopefully these storms behave themselves a little bit, but it's obviously going to be a pretty active afternoon. We're still far from the peak of severe weather, by the way. And the greatest tornado risk is from 3 to 7. So we are still about an hour and a half from that threat beginning to ramp up. And so with that being said, it is again going to be a very active afternoon across much of the Midwest. And again, if you need a weather app for today that'll keep you ahead of the storms, you can download Radar Omega, the top link in the description below, on iOS and Android. I highly recommend you downloading the app. It's the weather app that we're using throughout this entire live stream. Has lots of customization, live radar feed, in addition to live cameras, storm chasers, and much more. Computer model data, tons of stuff. You can check it out, top link in the description below on iOS and Android. We'll go back to Connor here in a second. Do want to quickly update you on the tornado warning again in Nebraska. Once again, rotation's not super crazy here. We'll continue to keep a close eye on it. But right now, there's no reports as of right now of a funnel cloud in the last few minutes, but still has a chance to produce a tornado. This is an unbelievable view of these storms in Iowa. Really unbelievable view right there. We are getting a report now of a tornado in progress near Creston. That's as of 11 minutes ago. So, never mind. But 11 minutes ago, there was a tornado with this storm near Clarkson. Still has a chance to produce a tornado. That was actually back over west of Creston. That's west of Clarkson near Creston. That was actually out of a non-tornado warning cell. It was just, kind of out in the open. It wasn't really a thunderstorm, but reportedly there was a tornado there at 1:18 p.m., so about 12 minutes ago in Creston, Nebraska. Looked like it was brief, but it's reportedly where we had a tornado. I'm guessing he meant Clarkson, because it wouldn't make much sense if he way over there. And we're talking about this storm that is currently tornado warned. But once again, there was a report here that we had a tornado with this storm about 12 minutes ago near Clarkson. I'm guessing it was Clarkson and not Creston. On the tweet it says Creston, but I'm guessing again it was Clarkson. But once again, this is where there was likely a tornado not too long ago. Again, near Creston, Nebraska, where we had a tornado on the ground briefly. But as of now, we don't have any new reports or anything like that. It is still radar indicated rotation, and it is still highly uncertain whether we'll get another tornado here, but we have at least at this point had a few reports of funnel clouds over the last little while, and it's again entirely possible that we still get a tornado with this, but it is a very slow moving storm moving towards Howells and Clarkson. It's moving through Clarkson right now, but it's moving towards Howells. Very rural areas like Winsner and West Point will be in the track of this down the road. But overall, the storm itself does look to be more of a hail threat right now. I'm not seeing nearly as much rotation on radar. We'll continue to keep a close eye on it. Quick update for Iowa. We still have storms ongoing again in Iowa that are severe. We have one that is east of Des Moines that is producing the threat of some damaging winds and also some strengthening rotation near Pella. No CC drop, but we got strong rotation right now near Pella. This could go tornado warned. Again, this is just southeast of Des Moines. There's definitely some strengthening rotation that we have here on the leading edge of these storms near Pella, Iowa. Again, just southeast of Des Moines. If you are in this area, I would honestly just, get to your safe place just in case this tries to produce something. If not, at least stay vigilant, because that storm definitely could produce a tornado as it moves more to the northeast. Areas in the track of this storm will include Pella, Grinnell, near Interstate 80, east of Newton. And this storm right now is moving north and north-northeast. And it's about to be going through Pella. So definitely a possibility that we do end up getting a tornado warning here southeast of Des Moines. We'll see. No, we're not talking about Illinois. Illinois is still a couple hours out at least from severe weather. Eli, I'm using Radar Omega. You can download it with the top link in the description below on iOS and Android. Yeah, rotation's a little bit weaker near Pella now, but it's definitely still a area of circulation that we'll have to watch for closely. And not tornado warned, but it is also rain wrapped for the record. But that could get tornado warned, we'll see. Tornado warnings have now been canceled in Nebraska. So the Nebraska tornado warnings are no longer ongoing. We're really watching, I would say now, mainly for the threat of a tornado over here in Iowa. And again, Iowa's going to have a much higher tornado risk as we go later into this afternoon. We are at least at the beginning stages of a slight uptick in tornadic activity, but it's going to really increase between 3 and 7. And between 3 and 7 is, again, when the most significant tornado risk is expected, which is when the peak of daylight heating is as well. And that'll be for those in southeast Iowa and as well as back into western Illinois and northeast Missouri, where a couple of strong tornadoes are possible, in addition to a few tornadoes in general being likely. And again, we have a very large tornado watch that extends from northeast Nebraska back into western Illinois, and much of central and northern parts of Missouri are included in this tornado watch, which this entire area is under a tornado watch until 8 p.m. Definitely make sure that you have multiple ways to receive alerts and have a tornado action plan in place if you're anywhere in the Midwest today, but especially in the tornado watch where there is going to be an elevated threat for tornadoes. How far would I cut into Illinois for it to be western? It would be basically anywhere that's in the tornado watch, but I'm primarily talking about this area here for western Illinois. This is where that greatest tornado risk will exist today. There will be a tornado risk like anywhere in here, but the risk is overall lower and more isolated. So Chicago is a really isolated threat. So maybe like 1 to 2 tornadoes in this area, maybe 1 to 3, again, give or take a couple on that, but like, just a couple, maybe a few tornadoes near Rockford, back through Bloomington and Springfield, and then maybe one near Chicago or back down through Urbana. Like, that's what I'm thinking overall in terms of the tornado risk. I think honestly, again, it's going to really be the highest here across eastern Iowa, northern Missouri, and western Illinois. And once these storms push more into central parts of Illinois, so like into this area, I do think the tornado risk will start to steeply drop, and I think the risk overall will become much lower for the Chicago suburbs. So that's what I'm thinking at this point in terms of the tornado risk. Yeah, we do have this area of rotation that I just circled here near Pella. This is again moving towards Sully in Iowa. It's a broad area of rotation, but it does have a chance to produce a tornado here down the road. So continue to stay very vigilant here in this part of Iowa. Just east of Des Moines is where we're at right now. And we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued. So this is your new tornado, or new severe thunderstorm warning. Area of rotation, again, becoming pretty broad at this point. So imminent tornado risk does look a little bit less likely now as the rotation is, again, broadening out. But we do have a very broad area of rotation near Route 163 in Pella that is moving northeast towards Grinnell, Brooklyn, and Interstate 80. So continue to stay weather aware if you're near Grinnell, Newton, and Brooklyn. Stay vigilant, as there is going to be another chance here for an isolated tornado risk as this storm continues to move to the northeast. And Bella Plain will be in the track of this long term. Toledo, Keystone, just west of Cedar Rapids will also be in the track of this down the road. But still a fairly broad area of rotation right now heading in that direction. Damaging winds does remain the main concern, upwards of 60 miles per hour. And we are up to now 10 severe thunderstorm warnings and no tornado warnings as of right now. Tornadoes are very normal in the United States. We usually have about 1,000 to 2,000 per year.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
We have a tornado warning back over near Sioux City. So as I just said, there were 0 tornado warnings, and now we have 1. New tornado warning near Sioux City. If you're in this tornado warning, seek shelter immediately away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. That rotation is going to be approaching Windstone, Jefferson, and Jackson in eastern Nebraska near Sioux City, Iowa. So once again, seek shelter immediately away from windows and on the lowest floor possible if you're included in this tornado warning. Not far from Sioux City, which is fairly populated in nature. I'm not sure if we have another radar site somewhere. We might have one down here near Omaha. Omaha might be better here. Yeah, you can kind of see the rotation in there. It's hard to tell how strong it is because we are just so far away from the radar site that what we're looking at here is around 10,000 feet up into the sky. So with that said, this is radar indicated. And we don't have any reports of anything here. It's just radar indicated rotation. But it is going to be approaching areas on the west side of Sioux City over the next several minutes. So again, continue to stay in your safe place. That is a shelter, like a basement, a storm shelter, a closet, or a bathroom, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. And once again, there is going to be a chance here for a tornado. So keep that in mind. Again, if you're in Windstone, Jefferson, get to that safe place. It's near Interstate 29, just west of Sioux City. It's moving northeast at about 20-ish miles per hour, 25 miles per hour. So it's moving mainly north or north-northeast. Here's the latest radar scan. We're up to 12 severe thunderstorm warnings, by the way. We have a lot of warnings. But once again, that rotation still looks to be pretty broad right now. I'm not really seeing a definitive area here. Again, if we have a tornado or any sort of tornado threat, it would probably be somewhere in here near Jackson. And that rotation will be moving towards Windstone and Interstate 29. And once again, we are looking really far away from the radar site. So it's definitely hard to tell what we are exactly looking at here when it comes to how strong the rotation is. But with that being said, it definitely is capable of producing a tornado in this environment. So once again, continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. This does include Jefferson, northern Sioux City, Dakota, Dunes, and Jackson. Right along the border here of South Dakota and Nebraska and Iowa. So multiple areas included in this, as the storm again will continue to move to the north over the next several minutes. Definitely have some hail too. Quarter-sized hail does remain a possibility with the storm. I know it's not warned for quarter-sized hail, but I'm definitely not ruling out a little bit of quarter-sized hail here. Correlation coefficient not really picking up on much right now. So again, main area of rotation would be approaching areas on the west side of Sioux City, Iowa over the next several minutes. There's a county named Sergeant Bluff. Welcome to Nebraska. Nebraska has a lot of counties. There's a lot of rural areas too in Nebraska. Thank you, SN, for the $5 super chat. Report of a trampoline on a roof at 3:30 this morning in St. Paul, Nebraska. If you have a photo, feel free to tweet me on Twitter or message me on Facebook. Again, flying trampolines, it's a medium risk today. You know, we've been trying to do so much of this trampoline awareness, and just people don't seem to catch on. Some people have, but not many. By the way, we do have a tornado possible storm now in southern parts of Iowa. This is in between 3 or 4 different radar sites, so not really a fantastic view on this, but this storm now is a tornado possible near Moravia, Centerville, Blakesburg, and Albia in southern Iowa. So once again, we got a lot of storms ramping up right now. Got lots of storm activity throughout Kansas, or not Kansas, sorry, Missouri, and we also got a lot of storm activity in Iowa. So plenty of storms right now ongoing. We have no tornado warnings in either Iowa or in Missouri, aside from the tornado warning that's near Sioux City, which is way back up here to the northwest, closer to where the low pressure system is located. And this is where we're still watching for the threat of a tornado. Which again, as of now, I don't see anything definitive here when it comes to a confirmed tornado or anything like that, but it is definitely capable of producing a tornado as it continues to move to the north into Jefferson, Windstone, and here's Sergeant Bluff, by the way, not too far away from this. Again, this storm right now moving due north, or maybe a little bit more north-northeast. They're approaching Interstate 29 over the next few minutes. An animation of a dancing trampoline. That'd be interesting. Iowa City is going to get hit with some storms. The report is on Radar Omega, is it? I don't know if my reports go far back enough. How long ago was that? It's about 12 hours ago. Is that Nebraska? There you go. Photo relayed via the emergency manager of a trampoline on top of a roof of a home. Nice. That was at 3:30 a.m. in St. Paul, Nebraska. That's how it goes sometimes. Flying trampolines are an actual threat. I can't believe it says this. That's actually really funny. I don't know if I've ever seen trampoline as a word in Radar Omega before, so this is definitely a new one. Once again, we do have a tornado warning just west of Sioux City. Again, stay in your safe place away from windows, lowest floor possible if you're in this tornado warning. Again, we don't have a great visual on this on radar, but there's definitely still a chance for a tornado. We want to show you what Connor Croft is looking at right now. This is a storm that is a tornado possible near Centerville, Iowa. Really impressive storm there. That is ongoing. And again, we will continue to give you updates on the Sioux City tornado warning if we get any.
I guess I was mistaken.
That cloud base is dark. Looks scary. That's our only tornado, or that's our only trampoline that we've had confirmed today on tossing trampolines on Tacos Tuesday. So far. Obviously, possibly more to come here.
I mean, look at this. This thing just looks insane, though. Not even too upset. Keep looking at this thing, backside of this leading edge.
Where's all the action? Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, maybe Indiana, maybe Arkansas.
Let's stop up here somewhere.
Threats in those two states are lower.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
We have a confirmed tornado on the ground near Dodge.
This is an urgent
confirmed
alert. A tornado is on the ground. Seek shelter
observed.
immediately.
Weather spotters confirmed a tornado with this storm. Let's get the exact location here. This is a confirmed tornado that is currently in Nebraska near Dodge. This is heading towards, let's see, located near country or County Road, Land County Road. Sounds like we got two different tornadoes that are potentially ongoing right now with this storm. We got one that's closer to Dodge and then one that's back over here to the west. So again, if you're in this warning, seek shelter immediately away from windows, lowest floor possible. Just trying to get more information on this. It's a little bit of a confusing report here. So again, this is for those that are near. Let's go back to the warning details here. Yeah, this is a confirmed tornado that is in Cumming County, Colfax County, and Dodge County. And once again, this is south of Sioux City. It's back near Columbus. It's an area that we've had multiple tornadoes already today. Take this back down to the last 3 hours. This, again, is potentially two different tornadoes that are in progress right now. So a tornado is currently located near County Road, Land County. And then we also got one that's located. So that's near Road 3. I don't know where Road 3 is on here. I'm not seeing it. But presumably there's at least one tornado somewhere back in here, is my guess. And then we also have one north of Maple Creek. So south of Howells, we have a tornado located going towards Dodge, and we have another one potentially back here to the west. So two different tornadoes that are in progress in this particular storm. Again, seek shelter immediately. Away from windows, lowest floor possible, and interior room of your home or building. We actually had some pretty strong rotation with the storm near Howells moments ago. And I'm definitely not ruling out that that was a tornado there briefly. So again, this is moving to the northeast.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
We have another tornado warning in the storm that's further north for Sioux City. So this one's not on the ground, but we have a new tornado warning here for the Sioux City area. This is going to be right over Sioux City, that rotation. Yeah, if you're in this tornado warning, seek shelter immediately. Away from windows, lowest floor possible. That is also radar indicated rotation that's moving north towards Hinton. So again, brand new tornado warning here. Seek shelter immediately, away from windows, and lowest floor possible. And again, we do have an observed tornado near Dodge, Nebraska, and Howells, Nebraska. We also have another tornado warning here that has the potential of producing a tornado near Sioux City. So activity is spiking up really quickly in Nebraska. And once again, we do have an active tornado near Dodge, and one possibly still ongoing near Maple Creek. And then we also have our two tornado warnings that are back up near Sioux City. So activity is beginning to ramp up quickly here across Nebraska. Once again, Nebraska has been active today so far. So again, if you are in Dodge, you need to be in your safe place that's away from windows, lowest floor possible. If you're in Howells, Snyder, or Maple Creek, Nebraska, you need to be in your safe place. Once again, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. Interior room of your home or building, away from windows. So this is once again a dangerous storm that's in progress with two different tornadoes that are in progress here. Yeah, so again, that would be one tornado. Our other tornado is located there somewhere near Maple Creek. So either one or two tornadoes on the ground in this area. So continue to stay in your safe place away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. The tornado warning for Sioux City is still ongoing. The rotation is going to be lifting a little bit off to the north of Sioux City. It's going to be associated with this band of storms here. This is moving towards James and Hinton. This is moving northeast at about 25 miles per hour. That's for Woodbury County in Iowa, Plymouth County, and Dakota County. Dakota County, Nebraska, Plymouth County, Iowa, all included again in this tornado warning. So continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible if you are included in this tornado warning. Again, neither of these tornadoes have been confirmed. They are both radar indicated areas of rotation. The problem is that we are so far away from a radar site that it is very hard to tell if we have a tornado on the ground unless there is some sort of visual observation. We don't have that on either one of these storms yet, so it's highly uncertain if we have a tornado here. But as this continues to move north, it possibly could produce a tornado near Sioux City. And it'll be lifting towards Lamar's, Akron, and Westfield down the road. So continue to stay in your shelter spot, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. And once again, the confirmed tornadoes that we have in Nebraska, there's one near Dodge and then another one near Maple Creek that have been confirmed by weather spotters in the area. Not seeing anything on the correlation coefficient, but we did have 2 tornadoes earlier in Nebraska. Neither of those dropped with any sort of CC drop. So, with that being said, it's kind of one of those situations where we, again, don't have any sort of radar evidence, but we do have visual evidence here in Nebraska. Yeah, storms are popping up crazy. And again, this afternoon is going to be crazy. It's going to get very active very fast. And so, obviously, if you are anywhere in Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, and even Nebraska, you still want to make sure that you're ready for severe weather today. Have flashlights ready, charge your devices up. It's undoubtedly going to be a very busy day here across the Midwest. We have 3 tornado warnings. We have 14 severe thunderstorm warnings. It's again going to get very active very quickly here across much of the Midwest today. Yeah, look at this. This is potentially a tornado that's developing near James and Hinton. No CC drop, but very strong rotation just on the northeast side of Sioux City, Iowa. So again, this could drop a tornado at any time. So continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building if you are in this warning. That definitely could produce a tornado at any time. Rotation's a bit broader on the storm that's near Jefferson. Not nearly as intense. That warning may be canceled. This warning will definitely at least continue for now. And this rotation is definitely concerning. It could produce a tornado at any time. There's the latest scan, not showing nearly as much rotation, but I'm still not ruling out a potential tornado here. This will be approaching James and Hinton in western Iowa over the next few minutes. So continue to stay in your shelter spot. Back near Dodge and West Point, we still do have an ongoing tornado warning here. And this is the one that has had confirmed tornadoes at this point. Those have been confirmed by weather spotters in the area. So if you are in this particular area, you need to continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible, as this is where we have already had a couple of confirmed tornadoes moving northeast towards Monterey and West Point in eastern Nebraska. Sailor, I'll be live again at around 4 to 5, somewhere in that time frame is when the next stream will be. I don't know what time it'll be at. I have zero clue. It'll depend on many things. It'll mostly just depend on when I get back, but I also have to eat if we go live again, so I'm leaning towards the second live stream will probably be at like 4:30 or 5. No update on this tornado warning as of right now. Once again, we did have 2 confirmed tornadoes with this in Nebraska, near Dodge, Nebraska. It's again moving northeast towards West Point, just west of Oakland, near Highway 2 or Route 275. That's the next area that'll be in the track of this. Again, continue to stay in your safe place away from windows and on the lowest floor possible if you're in this warning. Once again, this storm is moving to the northeast. And we still have 2 other tornado warnings, but this is the one that's confirmed. The tornado, if it's still on the ground, will be near Dodge, and we have another potential one south of Clarkson that are continuing to move northeast. We got 2 radar indicated rotations near Sioux City. Thank you, Sailor. Appreciate it. Zoom out a little bit here. These are the various tornado warnings that we have. Definitely a lot of spin with these storms. They're all around the low pressure system, so a little bit more of an elevated short-term tornado risk across eastern Nebraska and western Iowa. This is not the second round of storms that's expected later in Iowa and Missouri, just for reference, but it is one of the rounds of storms that we are currently expecting that'll end up bringing the threat for tornadoes later today. So just keep that in mind. We are back down to 10 severe thunderstorm warnings, so that number is dropping again. We have obviously a lot of warnings right now. We're only going to be focused on tornado warnings, and then obviously we'll look at some of the severe thunderstorm warnings for those when they pop up, and if there's anything significant, and then that's if we don't have any tornado warnings. But once again, we do still have 3 tornado warnings. Got some rotation near Jefferson, and we also got a little bit of rotation that's just northeast of Sioux City. The good news right now is that the rotation does look a little bit broader than before, but I would still stay in your safe place. It's relatively uncertain how strong this rotation is since we are just so far away from the radar site. It is hard to gauge how strong this rotation actually is. And then further down to the south, and the radar, or the warning, excuse me, just got updated. So this still does include James and Hinton. Sioux City, you're no longer in the tornado warning, so you do not have to be in your safe place anymore. But if you're north of that, you still need to remain in your safe place away from windows and lowest floor possible. And then once again, we do still have some rotation near Dodge in eastern Nebraska. This is still a confirmed area with a tornado that's near Dodge. Once again, this is moving northeast. We'll hopefully get an update on this warning here in a second. And see if this is still ongoing or if there's any other reports on this. We did have a confirmed tornado again by weather spotters. And I do have a video being retweeted on our Twitter page of that tornado. Yeah, so video on Twitter of this particular tornado that happened at Max Velocity WX on Twitter. I'll see if I can show it. Not sure, but if I am able to, I'll show you guys real quick. Yeah, this tornado that was happening here definitely looked like a pretty intense tornado. Again, very slow-moving tornadoes here across Nebraska today.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
We have a confirmed tornado near Lamar's. This is going to be heading towards the Strubble area and Maurice. This is confirmed, I'm guessing, by weather spotters. Yeah, weather spotters confirmed another tornado now in Iowa. So if you're in this tornado warning, you need to seek shelter immediately near Lamar's, Strubble, and Maurice, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. Again, that's away from windows. That is another confirmed tornado that's in progress now in western parts of Iowa. So just for perspective, got 3 tornado warnings up here near Sioux City. That one near Lamar's is now confirmed and on the ground. And then we got another one that's just to the north of Columbus that is has also been on the ground. It is unknown if it is still on the ground, but that one's been on the ground at least at a point in time. It may still be on the ground. That's near the Dodge area of eastern Nebraska. So continue to stay in your safe place away from windows and on the lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building, as there is now, or there's at least 2 tornadoes on the ground right now. And the tornado warning near Sioux City, the one the west of Sioux City, was just canceled. So we are back down to 3 tornado warnings. The other one that is north of Sioux City is still ongoing here for 15 more minutes. Still some rotation approaching Hinton. The tornado here near Strubble is just south of Strubble. That is moving to the north. That's going to be going towards Maurice. And then our other pocket of rotation that we're watching is back over to the northwest of Fremont. Still a confirmed tornado as of right now. That is heading towards Monterey and West Point. But this is still confirmed, and the tornado that is on the ground would be near Dodge if it is still actively happening. This is still a weather spotters that have confirmed a tornado near Dodge. It sounds like Connor's under some sort of rotating area over in southern Iowa. From what I'm hearing. Bottom right of your screen is what Connor is doing right now. Yeah, it's gotten active very quickly, and unfortunately, this is going to be the trend today. This is, again, a tornado outbreak that's happening, and we're in the very early stages right now of this tornado outbreak. And this is just the beginning. Again, a lot of the tornado action here is not even really the main action that we're expecting later today. And so unfortunately, I do think that things are going to just keep getting worse from here, especially back over in Iowa and Missouri and western Illinois, where that round of convective storms is expected around 2:30 to 6 o'clock. That's when it's expected to develop. And that's where we could get some strong tornadoes. So definitely going to be a more dangerous evening in those areas. With that being said, it's, again, going to be very active. We got multiple tornado warnings right now lined up in eastern Nebraska and western Iowa. Again, 2 confirmed tornadoes as of right now. We got 1 tornado north of Fremont in Columbus in Nebraska. That is near Dodge. And then we have another tornado on the ground near Lamar's. Again, we don't have a great view on radar of either one, but we do have confirmation and visual reports of those. So if you're in either of those tornado warnings, continue to stay in your safe place away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. With that being said, I already mentioned this a lot, but I do have to end the stream because I have an exam really soon, like in the next 20 minutes. So I unfortunately do have to go do that. I will be back around 4:30, hopefully, at the latest. Maybe 5, but I'm hoping to be back as soon as possible. I hate to end the live stream on tornado warnings. I knew this was going to happen. Unfortunately, I have to take the hit that way, but I do apologize. There are other people live on YouTube, so search up severe weather or tornado coverage or whatever. There are plenty of people live streaming this. Go watch them, and if you need those updates. Local news and stuff also will give you updates. Again, I really do apologize. I wish this did not happen, but unfortunately, it was expected that I would have to end the live stream like this. So again, I'm really sorry about that. But again, tornado on the ground near Lamar's. We got another one just north of Columbus. That is near Dodge. Hopefully those do weaken out pretty quickly. More significant severe weather expected in Iowa, Illinois, and as well as Missouri later today. Again, we'll be live again around 4:30 or 5 p.m. or so. That's the ETA I would give you guys. So make sure that you have notifications on. Subscribe to the channel. We'll keep you posted with the latest. And again, if you need a weather app for today, you can download Radar Omega on your iOS and Android device with the top link in the description below. All right, I really do apologize, but again, I can't really do much about it. It's an exam. It's mandatory. So I do appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you guys all again in a little bit. Again, we'll be back in about 2.5 hours. See you guys soon.